It's time for Twig. This week in Google. Jeff Jarvis is here. Ant Pruitt is here. Stacey Higginbotham is here. We're going to talk about Palantir. What does it do as it enters its IPO phase? We're going to talk about heavy ads. How heavy is heavy? And the $200 billion man. We have the technology. Next on Twig. This week in Google comes to you from LastPass Studios. Securing every access point in your company doesn't have to be a challenge. LastPass unifies access and authentication to make securing your employees simple and secure, even when they're working remotely. Check out lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 574, recorded Wednesday, August 26th, 2020. The right to be for Scottin. This episode of This Week in Google is brought to you by Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. Thinking about moving your data storage to the cloud? Wasabi is enterprise-class cloud storage at 1/5 the price of Amazon S3 and faster than the competition, with no fees for egress or API requests and no complex storage tiers. Start a free trial at wasabi.com. Enter the code TWIT. It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, the show where we never talk about Google. Just wanted to warn you ahead of time. Don't get angry. Don't get mad. That's the way it is. Stacey Higginbotham is here. She talks about the Internet of Things on her website, staceyoniot.com. She's also the host of the Internet of Things podcast with Kevin Tovell. Hello, Stacey.
Hello, y'all.
Hello. It's good to see you. Also here from the... Wait a minute. Where's his...
I don't know.
I need your title card. From the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York, Mr. Jeff Jarvis. How are you, Jeff? There it is. There's the whole lower third. The complete set of honoraries. Buzzmachine.com. He's sinking behind his lower third. In your case, the lower third is really more like the lower half. It's good.
Well, why do they call a lower third, but it's not
never
a third, by the way?
It should be the lower sixth, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Yeah. Maybe Ant Pruitt knows that. He's a photography kind of guy. Hi to Ant Pruitt from Hands On Photography and Hands On Wellness. Good to see you.
How you doing, Mr. Laporte?
I am well. I think you had both a sad day and a happy day over the last couple.
Yeah, it's been an interesting couple days here.
Should I mention, or is it a private affair?
We'll just keep it private. We'll just say things have been up and down, but we are still unbelievable as always.
But on the upside, I think a little bit outweighs the downside.
Always.
A new grandson is always, or is it a granddaughter, is always a welcome thing.
I plead a fifth.
I think that should be celebrated. I think that's fantastic. He's a young man, but he's been busy, as they say.
Right.
So, Palantir, we were talking about the Lord of the Rings earlier. The Palantir in Lord of the Rings, is that Saruman or Sauron's? It was the ancient wizards set up Palantirs so that they could see what was...
We're going to go through this now.
No.
Fantasy
I
hour.
refuse to be on a show that takes the Lord of the Rings.
No.
Well, that's where the name comes from. I'm just saying. I'm just saying there were giant crystal balls that were spread around the earth. You could see what was going on from one Palantir to another.
Done.
It was
You're
for
done.
communications. And
Let's talk about...
when Peter Thiel, former PayPaler, founded a new company in 2003, he named it Palantir, which tells you a little bit of kind of what its goals were. It's been a kind of a hushed, shrouded in secrecy kind of a company until now. It's about to issue its first IPO, kind of a weird IPO. It's not a traditional IPO. It's and I don't really understand what it does. I know that it doesn't make money. It's quite good at losing money. But the idea is that it uses artificial intelligence to extract data, which it sells to a variety of people, including the immigration control in the United States, which has been a little controversial. They sell it to state and local governments, healthcare industries, financial. They've been involved in tracking COVID-19, I think, to the good. So they are going to go. They were valued in 2014 at $9 billion. 2015 at $15 billion. $20 billion late that year. They've never ever reported a profit, which is my mistake, I think, because we were profitable, and I think the best thing would have been for us to lose more money. We'd be worth a hell of a lot more.
Jeff Bezos strung that out for a long time.
Yeah, but you know, the market knew very well.
Yeah.
That he could make money anytime he chose to. That, you know, that was kind of more of an accounting thing. So Alex Karp, who's a very did you know that Alex Karp did his PhD under Habermas?
I know that I saw him at a conference in Vienna, where he chose to do his interview in German.
He speaks fluent French, German, and English.
Mm-hmm. Show off.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He's I would say a bright guy. His his PhD thesis under Habermas was let me see if I can find it, because it was
in fact, just now I was digging back in to my Habermas.
Yeah. Is Habermas
Right
still alive?
I have a headache. Oh yeah.
Someone should explain to those of us who are not intellectually elite who and what Habermas means.
I'll be honest, I would have no idea if Jeff did invoke his
Habermas
name
is a
all the
member of
time.
I'm scrambling through the rundown.
He's a historian who is credited with the concept of the public sphere. And he argued that it arose in the salons and coffee houses of the 18th century in England and France. There are many who disagree with him and think that publicness was created otherwise, but he has that analysis, and that's what he says.
So Karp is kind of
you want to go back to Palantirs now and all that, which is worse, Habermas or Palantirs? I wonder.
Well, no, I've got, so, you know, I have read The Lord of the Rings, so I had context there. I just didn't want to like spend all my time on it.
Watch out!
I'm
going to go into Gutenberg. It's not a big leap from Habermas to Gutenberg at all in my head, but I'll
as
refrain.
long as we don't have Leifstung, whatever that was.
So you can tell me what this means. This is his PhD thesis, Alex Karp's Aggression in der Lebenswelt. What is that? The free world?
Aggression in the life's world. The Erweiterung der Person.
He writes about jargon, aggression, and culture. And it is, of course, in German, because it was the Frankfurt Institute under Habermas that he wrote this. So Karp, I think you could probably argue, is a fairly sharp fellow. He's been, you know, I think he's more a businessman than anything else. He inherited money from his grandfather, which he invested. In fact, he created a private investment firm in the UK called Caedmon and made money there. Was hired a year after the founding of Palantir to run it. So he's been there since 2004. In any event, the reason I bring all of this up is as part of the IPO, the CEO of Palantir, Alex Karp, has written a letter, which is kind of interesting, and I thought maybe we could talk about it. It turns out none of you have read it, so I'll give you a little bit of it. It's not really long, but here it is from CNBC. It starts, our welfare and security depend on effective software. Remember, the business of Palantir is essentially data mining. But he makes a big distinction between data mining for good and data mining for evil.
Which is fascinating because everyone presumes that Palantir does evil things.
Yeah. Our software platforms are used by the United States and its allies around the world. Many of the world's most vital institutions, he writes, from defense and intelligence agencies to companies in healthcare, energy, and manufacturing sectors, rely on the software platforms we built. Our customers come to us because their their technological infrastructure has failed them. The enterprise software industry's focus on custom software tools and applications is misplaced. These approaches often only work briefly, if at all. The problems and needs of an organization often change, before software can even be deployed. Our partners need something more. They need generalizable platforms for modeling the world and making decisions. And this is what we've built. This is, by the way, the first time anybody's really said what Palantir does.
I don't think that's true. I really want to quibble with that because we have been saying this. It's an easy cheat to say that we don't know what they do. And you actually said machine learning earlier. Palantir is just a platform for data analytics. That has not been a secret at all. And what is a secret is all the resources they're using and how effective it is.
How they do
However,
it. Not what they do as much as how they do it, I guess.
And whether, as Stacey said, whether
it
they're actually good at it. I think that's a really important point, Stacey.
And I think they are really good at it, and that's what scares people. So back to the letter. I hate when people are like, they're so evil and secretive. I'm like, no, they're not. They say what they do. We just
But Stacey, how do we know they're
weird motives.
Are people giving them a
how do we know they're good?
connotation because of the government ties?
Yeah. I think that's
well, there's a lot to unpack here, and we will. But we know they're good at it because ICE, Immigrations and Custom Enforcement in the U.S., has been using it very effectively to mine social data of immigrants and people in communities that have immigrants to pick them up. That New York Times did some great reporting on that fairly recently.
But Karp was quick to say, as others have, that they don't have anything to do with putting kids in cages. They're looking for people who snuck into the country.
Things ICE does.
There's other things they do.
There's a big menu.
But they're looking for people who've broken the law. So,
even that.
So have they broken? And this is where we get to. We can make laws. There's a difference between laws and justice. There's when you start thinking about laws, we can have unequal enforcement of the laws, but in living in what is becoming a surveillance state, we can unjustly enforce those laws, which we're having protests right
something
now
interesting
about.
To say about that. But that, in that case, I guess the question is, do you blame Palantir or do you blame the lawmakers?
I think you blame both the lawmakers, but you also look at the tools they're using. You can't give someone a pass for designing the nuclear bomb. Right? I mean, even the scientists who worked on that were like, oh, they did it. And so the question becomes then, and you could say that
there's still an argument even about the nuclear bomb, which is clearly used against people. But there's still an argument made that it shortened the war. It might have saved lives. I remember going to Nagasaki and seeing the classroom of children that was incinerated by the nuclear bomb, and it's a tragic thing to see. There,
one of the American generals insisted that I just finished reading the book about John Hersey and Hiroshima, that radiation poisoning was a pleasant way to die.
Oh, not so.
Yeah.
So,
Ant, I'm sorry, I was cutting over you when I was asking Stacey my question. You were saying something.
Oh no, I was just concerned because he started out saying that people assume they're evil when all they're doing is just, as what Mrs. Stacey said, was collecting data and analyzing data. And you're going to assume it's evil because it's working with the different branches of the government. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let me continue on. Because one of the things Karp does in this letter is really excoriate Silicon Valley. He says, you're looking at the wrong people. We're not the bad guys here. First of all, he says, at many organizations, Silicon Valley, employees spend their days, even their careers, posturing for others, concerned with claiming credit for success and avoiding blame for failure. We have rejected...
What does that mean?
Oh, that's just being all fussy and,
He's claiming in this letter, and remember, this letter is written for potential investors to make the case for why you should invest in us, right? So this is to pitch his company, right?
I'm better than them. Okay.
The culture of our company is more than a mere byproduct of the people we choose to hire. Our culture and means of organizing ourselves are preconditions for the creation of effective software. We identify what needs to be done and organize ourselves around the outcomes that we hope to achieve. Entire companies can subsist for years on business models that may have made sense at some point in the past. In the short term, there are often profits to be extracted from the enterprise and from customers, but we've rejected this way of working. The alignment of interest between our employees and our company, and between our company and our customers, is one of the principal reasons we've come as far as we have. Now, this is where he starts to get mad at Silicon Valley. And it actually, Stacey, I'd be really interested what you think about this. So Our work and the use of our software present difficult questions. So he acknowledges what we're talking about here. The construction of software platforms that enable more effective surveillance by the state of its adversaries or that assist soldiers in executing attacks raises countless issues involving the points of tension and trade-offs between our collective security and individual privacy, the power of machines, and the types of lives we both want to and should lead. The ethical challenges that arise are constant and unrelenting. So he's basically saying we don't ignore that.
He's owning up to it.
Yeah,
nice.
we accept it.
Well, let's see what choices he chooses to make, and that's how you judge them. It's not enough to say there are ethical challenges.
The fundamental issue is we're authority to resolve such questions, to decide how technology may be used and by whom should reside. Our society has effectively outsourced the building of software that makes our world possible. Now, this is where he really starts to get critical of Silicon Valley, to a small group of engineers in an isolated corner of the country. The question is whether we also want to outsource the adjudication of some of the most consequential moral and philosophical questions of our time. The engineering elite of Silicon Valley may know more than most about building software, but they do not know more about how society should be organized or what justice requires. I think this is an interesting...
I'm going to come back up, but Stacey, you first.
No, I was just going to say yes.
Yes.
It is an interesting letter.
Yeah, don't you think?
But...
Well, no. So I heard him do the spiel in Vienna 2 years ago. And what he's saying, and this is regulatory capture, is what's happening here. What he's saying is...
Don't blame us.
Sorry. We shouldn't make any of these decisions.
Yeah, don't blame
government
us.
Should make them.
Don't blame us for what we're doing.
And then don't blame us, right? Because government should make the decisions. We shouldn't make the decisions. So you do it, and we'll just do whatever the hell we want within those limitations, and then we're going to go wild. And I heard him then as a cop-out.
But wait.
And I think this
it is an abdication of the individual's role in participating in moral society. But I do think...
Well said.
Okay.
But he is saying... Let me go on. Next section, section 4. Our company was founded in Silicon Valley, but we seem to share fewer and fewer of the technology sector's values and commitments. This is something we talk about a lot on this show. From the start, we've repeatedly turned down opportunities to sell, collect, or mine data. Other technology companies, including some of the largest in the world, Google, have built their entire businesses on doing just that. Software projects with our nation's defense and intelligence agencies, whose missions are to keep us safe, have become controversial, while companies built on advertising dollars are commonplace. For many consumer internet companies, our thoughts and inclinations, behaviors, and browsing habits are the product for sale. The slogans and marketing of many of the Valley's largest technology firms attempt to obscure this simple fact. The world's largest consumer internet companies have never had greater access to the most intimate aspects of our lives, and the advance of their technologies has outpaced the development of the forms of political control that are capable of governing their use.
And Palantir is serving people with guns, and Google is not.
So, yes, he's not wrong here. Oh, go on, Ant.
No. You go. I stepped on you. Didn't mean to.
No, I want. You have not said a word. Do it, Ant.
Well, so right there, they're pointing at the likes of Google, but aren't they still doing the same thing, just collecting data, analyzing data, figuring out a way to, air quotes, sell that to their client for some sort of profit?
Yes, but they said, but the purpose is different. They say our software isn't used to collect your personal data for marketing. Our software is used to target terrorists and to keep soldiers safe. If we're going to ask someone to put themselves in harm's way, we believe we have a duty to give them what they need to do their job. We have chosen sides, and we know that our partners value our commitment. We stand by them when it's convenient and when it's not. So what he's really saying...
They're a weapons manufacturer.
Yes.
Well, I was going to say they're like an arms dealer.
Yeah.
They are. Let's take this to the Marvel universe. They are Tony Stark pre his Iron Man debut. And the debate we're about to have, was it Age of Ultron? No. Which one was it where they were, the big debate is they're launching the little satellites up in the air to like understand what everyone's doing before.
Help Stacey out here.
Was that Civil War?
Y'all. Was that Civil War?
I can't remember.
I think it was Civil War, actually. No.
I can't remember. Ask me about
Nick
planes,
Fury's-
trains, and automobiles, and we can talk.
I think, all right, just
Civil War, says Wojo.
So
Let's
the point,
move on.
so the point is, in the plot line there was that to prevent terrorism, you have to know everything about everybody and have the ability to take them out before they do evil. This is that's an exaggeration of this argument, but that's what's happening. And this is a very simplistic view of the world. And yes, he's not wrong about Google, but it's very common and it's easy to say, I'm going to abdicate my moral responsibility to my customers. And I've made my moral decision by supporting the aims of my customers. But that ignores, like Tony Stark ignored the fact that creating these wars is not great and that those arms can get into other hands and that there is inherent damage from this. And so you can't, and we don't live in the Marvel universe, right? We live in the real world. So you have to say, I think you constantly have to evaluate this. And you may have to say, yeah, we're okay, using people's data and don't collect the data. Their customers collect the data for them and give it to them, and then they analyze it and come up with, they create the platform for it.
Okay.
And we're okay putting people in jail that it may not be just, but it follows the law. And that's what they do. And this letter is just.
I don't think he's abrogating. I think you're saying that he's abrogating responsibility for what he's doing. I think he's saying, look, we use similar technology to that of the big advertising companies like Facebook and Google, but we feel that we have a higher calling. We're using that information to save lives, to protect our nation, to act the will of society, as opposed to the chasing the money for
what about
for marketing, that we have a higher principle.
Yeah, I get that. But saying that that's your higher principle.
Well,
is
it is
BS.
a higher.
Everyone's still about it.
We might disagree.
Still out
Look, I think one thing we all agree on is perhaps we don't agree with what the United States decides, what our current government has decided to do with this information. But if you put that aside and say, look, the purpose of government, of civil society, is to express the will of the people, and it is, I mean, no one is saying you shouldn't have a military, right? Or maybe you are saying
there
that.
are people who are actually.
I know people say that, but
military weight.
Put it to policing.
We should
put it to policing, right? So we had this discussion before about facial recognition, and you were both on the case of yes, cut it off. Because you don't know how police are going to use it. They're going to use it badly. They should not have it.
They shouldn't have it because it is not currently, as it exists, it's not reliable. You don't even know
what Palantir is doing. You don't even know what conclusions are going to be police. You don't even know where they're going because there's no transparency here because it's all secretive. And so it could be worse than that.
That's actually a good point.
Yet you're somehow saying, it's okay here because we don't know.
No, that's a very good point. It would be better. I would trust this letter better if they were more open about what they do and how they do it. I agree with you.
I don't think it matters.
It seems like they're taking a bit of a moral high road.
Oh, absolutely, that's their point.
Because let's just look at this in a simpleton standpoint. And the first thing that come to my mind was Google and Google Maps. And I'm a commuter that's not making a lot of money, but I have to get to work on time every day. And it saves me a little bit of money to bypass tolls or what have you. So Google knows, okay, you need to take this route to bypass tolls. It's watching me and saying, hey, you know what? You might want to turn left here instead of turning right over there because you'll be able to get to work on time a little bit faster and you're able to avoid the tolls. That's a big help to some people. And it's a lot of privacy implications there, but that is a big help and convenient for some people. Why are they trying to say that's just something horrible that Google is doing?
No, they're saying no. I don't think that they're talking about that. They're talking about the fact.
Well, no,
that
that's what I said.
That's
apply
utilitarianism morals to Google.
I think you did.
Did that just happen? That was awesome, Ant. I love it.
But I don't think that's the criticism he's making. I think he's saying, look at these companies. Don't kid yourself. Google's business and Facebook's business is to collect everything they know about you, so they could sell that to the highest to market.
Yeah, that's why I said the simpleton version of it.
So
I know
I'm not you're exactly right, Ant.
But that's the trade-off that you and I make. We use Google knowing perfectly well that they're going to do that because we get value. There's utility in the stuff they give us in return.
Well,
so we're
right.
making an economic decision, which is ours to make, saying, look, I'm going to use I'm going to have a Google camera in my house because it's very useful to me for a variety of reasons. I know what they're doing with that information, but I think that's a fair trade.
I would say you have to also consider is Google doesn't actually have access to the power of the state. And Palantir's data collection comes with the arm. It serves the power of the state. And he's using that as an awesome thing, right? Which is great, in terms of his worldview. But the state can do all kinds of things to a citizen with that data that Google cannot. So he doesn't really talk about that. And he just kind of elides that point with the fact that, we've all agreed to this with the morals, as a society. But we really haven't. And
what states, by the way?
We haven't won because there's not truth. What?
Well, and then he may say, well, that don't take that up with me. Take that up with government. If the government is not reflecting your desire. That is
what he's saying.
Yeah.
Which government people? Is he doing it? Is he doing it for Turkey? Is he doing it for Hungary? Is he doing it for China? We don't know.
No. He says very specifically. Now, he hasn't. I don't know about Hungary and Turkey, but he's very specifically said, we have chosen not to give that information to China because we don't. Our leadership believes that, this is the quote, this is in their S1 filing. Our leadership believes that working with the Chinese Communist Party is inconsistent with our culture and mission. We do not consider any sales opportunities within the Chinese Communist Party, do not host our platforms in China.
So that's the only country he names?
He names it as a risk.
What about Brazil?
He names the reason he names it as a risk.
What about Poland?
Stop. Let me finish. The reason he names it as a risk is because it's a very, very large market. He says our unwillingness to work with China could hamper growth given that it's the world's second largest economy, but here's why we don't do it. We to promote respect for and defend privacy and civil liberties protections. So they don't bring up Turkey, but it's not a very big economy. They may well not choose to work with Turkey. I don't know. I think you hit the nail on the head though, Jeff. All of this is fine if they're open about what they do and how they do it. But because it's a black box, nobody's getting to weigh in on what he's up to. He's just saying, well, no, the government knows.
Right, and it's like the stuff that Snowden revealed, right? This is for your good. We're doing this in your interest. We are the government, which one would hope to wish to believe. But in the case of what Snowden revealed, no, don't do that in my name.
Yes.
We don't want that done in our name.
Yes.
And in this case, it's not just that was just privacy, right? I'm not diminishing the importance of privacy, folks. It's important, but it's a hell of a lot more to stop people at the border
Stacey's
or
right.
to arrest people presumptively because you think they could be doing something bad, or to target bombs in Iraq or Afghanistan.
Right. Like the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Winter Soldier.
Thank you, chat room. I was like,
Evil John in the chat room says, he's a war profiteer. That makes it legal, but doesn't make it ethical.
Oh.
Right.
So I actually, when I read this, I liked it, the moral high ground he took. But I think you guys have really punctured it with the problems. And the chief problem for me is its complete lack of transparency about what they do.
You know what? Also, Leo, I think it's a little bit like Apple, where Apple took a disadvantage. It couldn't sell ads, didn't know how to, and turned that into a feature and said, oh, we're wonderful. Well, right now in the last weeks, now that Epic is going after them, now Epic is painting Apple as the evil company. They may not be evil in advertising, but they're evil in taking 30% of my business, right? So, you know, and I got argument. It is.
Well, wait. Okay, so let's not take profiting. And I wouldn't even call that profiteering. That's just a business decision in calling it evil. I don't think it's evil.
Yeah.
I agree. No, but I'm saying people are calling them evil. I agree. No, I agree with you absolutely.
I know. We're so quick to call everything evil.
Yeah. When a reporter came after me and tried to get me to say it was evil, I said it's negotiation. He's got more power than most. Epic does, right? Has more power than most now. He's trying to use it to reduce the rate. It's business. It's always been business. You know, that's what it is. So no, I agree with you, Stacey. But I'm just saying that the presumption that facial recognition technology out of Amazon is evil and wrong, right, is no different from saying that Palantir is evil or right. We don't know enough.
This is a very good conversation. I'm glad. I had a feeling when I read this that you would all have something to say about it, and you've absolutely clarified my thinking a little bit.
And thank you for doing our homework for us, because that's the one thing I didn't read.
Well, I wish I saw it in the rundown sooner.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's and I moved it high right up to the top, but mostly because it's Habermas was mentioned. But
you want a little breaking news from the world or not?
Yes.
CNN Politics just in. Dr. Anthony Fauci says he was undergoing surgery and under anesthesia when the White House Coronavirus Task Force discussed new CDC testing guidelines in which they're backing off testing.
Yeah. Yeah, good timing.
These are the folks who are hiring
convenient.
Palantir. Just to mention.
Just convenient. Yeah, but I have to tell you, if Joe Biden gets elected, I guarantee you it's not going to cut into Palantir's profit. Actually, they don't have any, but
it's not going to cut into their
revenue. Yeah. I don't think those contracts go away. I mean, and they were there under Obama as well. It's pretty clear.
Yeah, go back to Eisenhower's famous speech about the military-industrial complex, and instead of military-industrial, maybe we call it the military data complex. And we're just going to keep building this until we, as a society, decide it's not worth it. And I don't see us making that decision anytime soon. And,
I respect. Look,
I don't know.
I heavily respect the desire to keep our service personnel overseas safe. I think that's a great thing. I respect the desire to keep us safe from attack. That's all to the well and good. But I think it's also in a democratic society important to debate it and important to understand the tools that are being used. And the problem with these new software tools is it's unknown how powerful they are. They may be extraordinarily powerful. And it's as if you invented the atom bomb and didn't tell anybody what it did or how it worked. You just sold it to whoever wanted it. That's problematic. We need to you can't have a debate, and our society depends on that debate, unless you understand what you're debating. And we just don't
So the
know.
Hersey book, Hiroshima, which was written for the New Yorker, and they took over the entire issue, and then it was sold as a book with huge sales. The book I just read or listened to about the making of the Hersey book was making clear that the effort of government was to keep reporters out of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, to not reveal how bad the bomb destruction was, to act as if dying in radiation poisoning, well, first to deny that it existed and then to say that it was a pleasant way to die, and to try to keep us from having the knowledge that we need in a democracy to make exactly the kind of decisions you're talking about.
We have to make those. There's an argument to be made. Well, you need military secrecy. If the Manhattan Project hadn't been secret, the Germans or the Japanese might have been able to steal it and beat us to the punch. So there's a reasonable argument for secrecy. But at some point in a democratic society, we need to debate these things. I don't know if Truman could have gone to the nation and say, hey, look, I'm thinking about a massive bomb on Japan. What do you think? Yes or no? That wouldn't have worked either. So it's a little challenging. It's a little difficult. By the way, I just found out my grandfather worked on the Manhattan Project.
Wow.
He was a metallurgist. My mom used to tell me he'd come home with a briefcase chained to his sleeve. And she said we'd go to a picnic or whatever, he'd never be without it. His briefcase was with him at all times. She said, I don't know exactly what he did, but it was something about reactors. And I said, oh, well, he's a metallurgist. He's either working on the rods or the containment vessels, something like that. And the other thing she said is, one night in 1945, he came home. He said, I can't tell you why, but the war's going to be over in 4 months.
Whoa.
And he was right.
I think he actually had to kill you then.
Yeah, that was Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So,
wow.
My grandfather worked on that. So, I don't know at what point that debate happens. You can't have it before. You can't have it. Right. You can have it after, I guess. And I think that debate. We have had that debate globally over nuclear proliferation. I think we've all agreed we shouldn't have another case of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right?
Stacey, you're delayed. That's why I didn't hear you talking. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. So some things have to be done in private, but not as many things need to be done in privacy as the government and as the people in charge would have you think.
Right. They love secrecy.
Yeah. And it's a fetish. So I think, that's
we elect Congress. We elect oversight committees, intelligence committees that meet in secret, that are told things that the public can't be told.
But they don't know stuff now, right? And that goes back to the point of Snowden. There were things that the government was doing that Congress didn't know. There are things the government's doing now that Congress doesn't know. There were things that they were doing to Google that Google didn't know.
Well, we're in a situation where what we all thought were norms and normative behavior that everybody would adhere to, suddenly nobody cares about anymore. And that's a problem. You know, when you have political conventions being held in the White House, that's a problem. And it's a patent violation of the law. But as Kellyanne Conway said, let me know when they put somebody in jail for this. And so if you've got somebody who's willing to break the norms, doesn't really care, then we really got a problem, because there's no chance for this democratic debate. There's no chance for Congress to do oversight. Nothing. This
was a good discussion.
Yeah.
Glad we had it.
Let's take a break. We have some googly stuff. This was peripherally about Google. Because I think his criticism is certainly of Google and probably of Facebook as well.
And if anyone gives us grief about not talking about Google, last week we talked a good 25% about Google.
At least.
Oh, pump that number up.
25%. Can't we do more?
It was pretty high.
Look, I'm going to confess. I misnamed this show. I can't deny it. It is not. We just don't. We don't have another name for it, and now it's.
What were you going to say? Blathering about technology and society?
Yeah, that wouldn't be
philosophy?
Good. Nobody's going to listen to that crap. So we have to pretend it's about Google. I'm saying
Habermas and Gutenberg.
No, This Week in Habermas.
I would not listen to that. I got to be honest.
I got to be honest.
No.
Our show today brought to you by Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. Would you listen to me if I told you there's something better than S3, better than Google Cloud, better than Azure, faster, less expensive, better than on-prem storage? That's Wasabi. Wasabi is disruptive technology that's highly secure. It's turning the industry on its ear. Storage that's 80% cheaper and up to 6 times the speed of Amazon S3. With no charge for egress, no complicated tiering, no charge for API access. Wasabi's kind of amazing. Wasabi is so affordable that it actually costs less than the same amount of on-premises storage. In fact, it not only costs less, it costs less than the annual maintenance fees on the same amount of on-prem storage. You'll save a lot of money with Wasabi. A lot of businesses these days are creating data at a rapid but predictable pace. You know, we're going to need another petabyte of storage in the next year. We're going to need another 100 terabytes in the next month, that kind of thing. You know. So instead of going out and buying on-premise storage solutions, why don't you do it in the cloud? I'll tell you why. I'll give you my argument for it. I would argue it's more secure than your on-prem storage. 11 nines of durability. Wasabi's data is hosted in premier, redundant, Tier 4 data center facilities. They're highly secure. Their active integrity checking means everything you store on Wasabi is checked for integrity every 90 days. And because you're in redundant servers, in redundant centers, you can always restore anything that's missing. Wasabi is secure by default. All the data stored in the cloud is always encrypted at rest, even if you don't specify it. Wasabi has some really cool ways of keeping your data safe from, let's say, ransomware or human error. For instance, you can designate data immutable. It cannot be erased. It cannot be altered. You'll be protected from malware, from hackers, from fumble-fingered employees. That's awesome. There's access control mechanisms, bucket policies, and access control lists so that only the right people have access to your data. Wasabi follows in every respect the best industry security models and design practices. Now, there's 2 ways to pay. They've got their very low cost, pay as you go. So just buy it as you need it. And I actually know a lot of people are using it that way, just kind of back up, that kind of thing. But you can also pay ahead of time with reserved capacity storage. This is particularly for people who are buying on-prem storage at a regular clip. You know what you need. If you buy ahead, 1, 3, or 5 year increments, you'll get greater discounts for the longer term and the higher capacity. The savings are spectacular. It's really a good solution for anybody who's buying hardware right now. Don't buy more hard drives. Buy the cloud. Buy Wasabi. Of course, it's HIPAA compliant, FINRA compliant, CJIS compliant. Wasabi is secure, it's fast, it's safe, and it's 80% less expensive. Calculate the savings for yourself and start a free trial for a month. Check out Wasabi, wasabi.com. Click the free trial link, enter the code TWIT. Wasabi.com, offer code TWIT. Join the movement, migrate your data to the cloud, and do it with confidence. I'm telling you, I know the boss is going to say, who? You just say, look, let me tell you why. Just repeat what I just said. And I think the boss will say, wow. That's it. Wasabi hot cloud storage for me. Thank you, Wasabi, for supporting This Week in Google. All right. Let me find some Google-licious stuff here.
I'm seeing the wheels spin in Leo's head.
Yeah,
wondering where's the wheel going to stop?
Yeah, round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. Verily is getting into insurance. That's the alphabet company that's for health sciences.
Not I put that up there. It's not terribly exciting because what they're getting into is stop loss insurance. So it's not retail insurance.
I thought it'd be like health insurance.
It's for the health insurance companies.
Oh,
so
it's insurance for the insurers. I get it.
Yes.
So that you don't get, and nowadays with COVID, I think insurers.
Or for a company that self-insures.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Stop loss insurance. Yeah, that makes sense. We thought for a while, both Amazon's started offering insurance to their employees. We thought they would get in this business. Yeah, we thought Google would. Nothing yet.
Are they betting that we might actually get single payer?
Yeah, maybe this isn't a good time to get into that business.
Maybe it's not.
Maybe you wait till after November 3rd.
The heavy ad story is interesting.
Heavy ads. What are heavy ads? Google's blocking
Heavy ads are ads that carry a lot of megs with them, and Google's going to start blocking them, and that means that ads that have fancy stuff going on in them, which are expensive, also may get blocked.
Anything that consumes more than 4 megabytes of network data or 60 seconds of CPU usage. That's a lot. And it is only 0.3% of all ads out there. But because they're so heavy, they make up more than a quarter of all ad data network consumption.
And I wonder if the takeover ad that I complained about last week with the Washington Post would have been a heavy ad.
Right. If it's got video, probably.
I appreciate the fact that the people designing the ads didn't necessarily think about just putting all of the big flashy stuff out there, because they know as a society we are stuck on the whole squirrel complex and we look at big shiny things on the screen. And they fought that urge.
Yeah.
This is why AMP exists, because people were what you were downloading with every web page was megabytes of crap that you didn't need.
I think AMP exists for a number of reasons.
I know you're going to set you up on that.
Okay.
If Palantir made AMP, you'd be fine with it.
Fight words.
So you're such an unhappy person. I don't know how you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was muting. I was saying I love the little disbelieving Leo squeak. Like, oh.
Yeah.
We need a soundboard
disagreement
with our various sounds. Stacey, you have about 10 of them. I lost.
She's got the best sounds.
We did a Stacey Leo soundboard.
Yeah.
I'm actually just copying Stacey. I'm just trying to get more Stacey stuff going in here. Facebook.
Oh, that's okay.
What?
Facebook. Oh, that's okay.
I'm pissed off. Facebook now says you have to have a Facebook account to use your Oculus Rift.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Oculus Connect is now Facebook Connect. They're going to do a virtual conference September 16th.
Facebook. The worst is the other thing, the other name they came up with.
What? The
Reality Labs.
Oh yeah, the AR VR teams are now Facebook Reality Labs.
A company that most people don't want screwing with reality is Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, and Facebook's reality is not real reality, unfortunately. Give or take. Yeah, no, this is so frustrating, because when Facebook swallows a company, it's trying to absorb every aspect of it, and it will force users onto its platform. Yeah. And people are now, If I were an Oculus user, I'd be pissed.
I am, and it's going in a box because I'm not going to create a Facebook
So what's the benefit?
account.
I understand the benefit of tying Instagram data to Facebook data. I get that. I don't understand the benefit to Facebook here of demanding you have a Facebook for something that's basically its own business unit.
Because Facebook wants to make its into real reality, right? So think about things like the portal. Think about things like Oculus. You can see where someone is in their home. You can influence their physical actions in the world and get data about where they exist in the real world. That's very powerful data. And it's no wonder that Facebook wants it. They don't know necessarily what they're going to do with it. I know Mark has some weird vision of VR, but that's how I look at this. Is my internet terrible?
Looks like I need to update the driver on the Rift, but now I'm scared after hearing this news.
Are you an Oculus? Yeah, I gave you my Oculus. You have an Oculus. Yeah, I'm. You're not. I mean,
you
the
will
kids
be forced to do this.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm going HTC Vive, baby.
I mean, and I'm an Instagram user. I use Instagram fairly regularly, and it's a Facebook property. But I guess I sort of limit what I put on there as well.
Could you use something like Flickr instead? Is there anything you could use instead that isn't so
Yeah, there are options
invasive?
with Flickr and stuff like that. I look at my engagement levels. I get a lot more engagement about my work on Instagram and Twitter.
Of course.
Nothing on Flickr or anything like that.
Yeah. Of course you do. That's the problem.
That's where the people are.
That's where the people are.
Yep.
That's the whole problem. I said before the show, I said, I'm done striving. That's why I can now safely leave Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and not look back because I don't need to.
No, you just enjoy being a contrarian.
I don't like them. I don't want to.
No, you enjoy not enjoying.
My new master is Jeff Bezos, the world's first $200 billion man.
Unbelievable.
$200 billion. That means he's got 2 billion Franklins. Here's a number for you. You think with all that money he could buy himself a better jacket?
Hey, that jacket
you're
was
right
nuts.
Oh, no. Really? You think that's
that jacket?
You like that
I
jacket?
could wear it. I could wear it. I don't know about you, but I could.
You could pull it off.
Oh,
yes, Ant, you could pull it off.
And you could wear a toga and look good. It doesn't. You don't need. Clothing's for you, or just something to hold your muscles back. Amazon stock went up another 2% this afternoon. Bezos made. I can't even imagine making $4.9 billion in an afternoon.
Wow.
He is now, as of 1:50 p.m. Eastern time today, worth $204.6 billion. The next richest person in the world is Bill Gates. Well, he's a punter at $116 billion. Even adjusting for inflation, Forbes says they believe Bezos' fortune is the largest ever amassed.
I see this article and it makes me think about a recent issue I had with an Amazon order, and not a delivery in particular. This was more so on the database side, the software side. Something went wrong. It was Amazon's fault. And
Jeff should have given you $1 billion right there. You just peel it right off. It's no problem.
Well, that's the thing. They come at you and say, you know what, we're sorry about this. And I'm thinking, all right, we pay the however much it is per year for that service. And they say, well, we'll give you a $10 credit or something like that. And I'm like, that's a slap in the face, especially if this was something that I really needed at the time for a job.
I think Jeff Bezos should come to your house and make it rain. I think he should just.
I told the representative, make it $50 and I'll be happier. Otherwise, just keep your $10. Because that's a slap in the face.
It's not worth the effort to cash the check. Tell him. I just can't be bothered.
I'm rich like Bezos. You insult me with your trivial offer of peace.
Your $10.
To mean anything to me, I am Mr. Ant Pruitt. Gotta be these people.
The president is actually going to go to the Supreme Court. This is how pathetic we've gotten. This is how sad and it's not a comment on Trump. It's just how sad the whole political sphere has gotten. He's going to go to the United States Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, ask them to let him block users on Twitter again.
Oh, bless his heart.
He's using the Solicitor General of the United States of America so that he can block users on Twitter.
I never quite got an understanding on his Twitter account versus the president of the United States.
Well, that's
Twitter
the
account.
argument. He says, look, I got a POTUS account. Okay, I won't block things on that. But the real Donald Trump, that's my personal account. I can do that.
Okay.
I think he's president all the time, not just 9 to 5.
And he would argue if you tried to tell him that he was not president at certain times a day, he would argue that no, he is president all the time and will be forever.
Forever. So arguing that this is a purely personal action is, I think, not going to. I don't know. It'd be really interesting to see what the Supremes say. The court, a three-judge panel unanimously ruled last year, as you might remember, that he could not block users on Twitter because he used it to make official pronouncements. And it is kind of the thing we do in America. I think it's in the First Amendment. I might be wrong. The right to speak up and say, I don't like that.
I think. Let me double check.
I think it's in there.
Well, it's also this is a case too. It's in the what do you call the law of open government information? The official documents,
transparency. Yes.
Yeah, but I'm just going to bet the Supremes are going to punt and wait and not.
It seems such a trivial, terrible thing for them.
They don't want to get dragged down.
There's so many more serious things like TikTok. They could be getting involved in the TikTok or Apple versus Epic. There's so many more important things. Oh Lord.
I don't know. Well, let's take this a little further. So not just Donald Trump wanting to block people, but let's think about as we go forward in time, we're going to have presidents and people in power who have a history of social media use, for example. And if you start thinking from that perspective, how far, to what extent could like Kamala Harris go to protect her accounts from harassment? And I don't know. So I'm just trying to think about, maybe it's not just Twitter, but how, like, at what point do you become your job? It's kind of the same debate between a public and a private person for, libel reasons, right?
Right.
Or not libel, coverage reasons. And I mean, I'm not thinking that Trump is thinking this far ahead, but as a lawyer, I would be, thinking that way. And I assume some lawyers are. And just like your personal Instagram, or what about your kids' Instagram? And yes, he is making political statements on Twitter. So does that negate that? And if that's the rule that we come up with, then how does that make other people behave on Twitter if they aspire to this office?
Well, I understand. He's not saying I want the power to delete old tweets, which he also lacks.
No, I know.
He's saying I want to be able to. I want to be able to put my fingers in my ears and say, nah, I can't hear you. I don't know what you're saying. He wants to block a route for the citizens of the United States to talk back to him.
And Stacey brings up a really good analogy talking about Kamala Harris. I think there's a professor at University of Maryland, Matthew Kirschenbaum, and a name you should know because he wrote The History of Word Processing. It's a great book.
I have that book actually.
It's a really fun book.
Is that yeah, I have it. Yeah.
Track changes.
Track changes. Yep.
So he the other day he tweeted some troll was going after him. And he was just kind of saying, I'm not playing. And he finally said, you don't have a right to a conversation. And I liked that, right? I have a responsibility to respond to you. I don't need to rise to whatever bait you're putting up before me, right? So there's that. Then there's do you have a right to be heard? No, you don't. So I think Stacey's right that do you have a right to not be harassed? These are the things we've got to discuss now.
Oh, that's an interesting.
The voice of reason.
Yeah.
Stacey Higginbotham.
Yeah. But who defines harassment? Because I think some people would say, well, anything that disagrees with me is harassment.
It disagrees with them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you know what?
Well, that's where you get the Supreme Court involved.
Right.
He's
and they'll
not
punt with
reading.
something like, "I know it when I see it."
Yeah.
He's not reading his tweet feed.
I think
Somebody
he's more
is printing out
concerned.
things for him.
Well, I don't know if that's the case, but I think he's more concerned about followers seeing other people's tweets to him than he is about him seeing them. You know what I'm saying? He wants to keep the dissent out of his replies.
Oh, that's a different. Okay, that's a different question then. Does he? I don't know.
Still controlling the message.
I just.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
I pray to God we can get rid of presidents tweeting. Please, let's get rid of that. That's a bad.
That's a related report, Leo. I was sad. So back in the day, way back in the day, I even did stuff on this, right? The candidates Obama was making YouTube videos. Right. Now I keep doing that. It's a direct connection to the public. This is great. It's using social media really well. I love this. If Obama did it, I would have loved it. But yeah, it can get abused.
When a demagogue does it. Well, I would say that, FDR started his radio addresses and he did it because he didn't like the message from the press.
Right.
So
Right.
there's a time-honored history.
Yeah, speaking
Yes, there is.
directly to the people,
Absolutely right.
not a bad thing. But that's why we call it the bully pulpit. You have plenty of options to do that. You can call the networks and they come running the minute you say.
Why not modernize a little bit?
Yeah.
Why not modernize and go where the people are? I guarantee you my daughter is not listening to the radio or watching television.
Apparently, I
She's
didn't know this.
on-
Joe Biden says he's promised to stop using his personal Twitter account if he's elected. He'll just use the POTUS account. The interesting
want to
thing
see
about
Joe
Biden on
Biden
TikTok.
tweets.
the interesting thing about the POTUS account is that is an official account for the President of the United States. So, and it is not your account, right? When Obama, it was created under Obama, but when he stepped down, he handed it over to Trump, and presumably Trump will hand it to his successor, and on and on and on. And I think that's interesting. That I don't mind. Because that does have this, then has the status
It's a delineation,
of an official pronouncement from the president.
Right. And I think the refusal of Trump to use it is very indicative of his personality and his goals with this. Yeah. And I think Obama's willingness to create the account and then leave it behind is also very indicative of who he was as a politician.
Actually, you may be able to delete your tweets, but you can never delete your email if the U.S. Border Patrol gets a hold of it. The end of the month, last month, Department of Homeland Security published a privacy impact assessment detailing the electronic data they can choose to collect from people crossing the border and what happens to it. In this assessment, they claim the right to search laptops, thumb drives, cell phones, any device capable of storing electronic information. And when they call it a border search, they can do this not just when you're crossing the border in either direction, but even anywhere within 100 miles of the border. That's 2/3 of the U.S. population lives within 100 miles of the border. So now they've asserted a right to collect any electronic data for anybody from 2/3 of the United States. They also say, we will keep this. We will acquire a mirror copy of the data on the device and store it locally. Once they make sure there's no porn on it.
Because that's dangerous.
Once they've determined it's clean, they transfer it to a border patrol system called PLX, where the information is stored and searchable for 75 years.
This will get sued. I'm sure it also gets sent to Palantir.
Why not?
But yes, they will be sued for this. They were sued over the within the 100 miles of the border, and that didn't work. This is really, this is the sort of stuff we look at other countries doing this and we're like outraged at. But this is where we are as a country.
We'll see what the courts say.
Yep.
They say they plan to keep travelers' emails, videos, pictures, as long as they're not pornographic, texts and tap messages, financial accounts and transactions. By the way, gave me a great idea, a new kind of encoding. If you put all your secrets in dirty pictures, you're safe, right? You're safe. Yeah. Financial accounts and transactions, location history, web browser bookmarks, task lists. Step 1, acquire bomb material. Step 2. Well, I won't continue because it's going to get in this list. Your calendars, your call logs, your contracts. 75 years, although if it's not related to a crime, it may be deleted after 20 years. We can't promise, they say.
So you travel with a clean phone is what this says.
Yeah, don't don't get within 100 miles of the border with anything.
Well, 100 miles, that's right. Oh, right. You said that. Right.
A Border Patrol agent, if you're within 100 miles of the border, and this happens all the time, I understand in Vermont and areas near the Canadian border, they can just say, hey, come here. Give me your phone. Thanks. Okay, I got it. Have a nice day, citizen. And you don't have to be crossing the border.
Yeah. It's blatantly wrong.
But you want Palantir. Sorry.
To protect our boys overseas. Yes, I do.
In Canada, yes.
In Canada. Yes, I do.
But I've always wondered if you're a border guard, because if you fly back from Toronto, you go through customs there. Are those U.S. border agents they're Americans? They have to be American citizens, I assume, living in Canada.
Yeah,
not a bad gig.
No, they're always very nice to me. Some of them are fans. I'm not criticizing you guys. I just don't think you should be able to suck all the data out of my devices and keep it for 75
within 100
years.
miles. Jeez.
Yeah. Seattle's 135 miles from the
you're
Canadian
safe.
border.
You're safe.
Well, but people who live in like the northern suburbs.
Yeah. I'm puzzled because if they say 2/3 of the nation, does that mean anybody who lives on the coast? Because the territorial border is, 20 miles? Is that everybody?
Yeah.
Then anybody who lives within 100 miles of the territory?
Then I'm screwed.
That's right.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Because the coast is your what's the border? 35 miles?
I can't remember I always thought it was 20, but international waters.
What's territory versus fishing versus this versus that? Yeah, what's our territorial waters? Well, no detail is too small for us.
We will. This is maritime law, my friend. Maritime law.
I do not know.
The law of the sea, my friends.
I'm
200.
looking on the DHS site.
The high seas. The Copenhagen Convention of 1857.
Sure wasn't 1858.
It's complicated is the answer. Wow, it is just complicated as hell. Look at this chart. There's the continental shelf, and then the extended continental shelf, the international seabed, international waters, surface, international exclusive economic zone, national airspace, and then finally outer space. So it's somewhere in this table.
There's national airspace, international airspace, territorial sea, contiguous zone, high seas. High seas seem to go out a long way. The exclusive economic zone
is an airport a
200
border?
nautical miles.
Is an airport a border? But airport's a border too, because I don't know how this works.
Oh my gosh.
You're just.
We need a maritime
Palantir's
lawyer.
gonna have it all.
Yeah.
No, you just need an immigration lawyer. I'm sure they could tell you. Anyone in the chat room?
Somebody in the chat room? Anyone?
I'm sure we have a few who play it on TV.
All right. I need to take a break, a little breather. One moment, everybody stretch. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about a new way the bad guys can make a copy of your keys with their smartphone as they're walking by.
Lovely.
All right. This actually, we talked about this. I just had a little stretch. Sorry. We talked about this on Security Now from the Association of Computing Machinery and a demo. I think this was at Black Hat. It turns out if you record the audio of a key in a lock, security researchers were able to actually make a copy of the key, 3D print it, based on the sounds it makes when the key hits the tumbler and it pushes it and all of that stuff. so with a smartphone, or even they say the microphone in a video doorbell, they can attack and they can record. You want to hear what the clicks sound like? Here, I'll play them.
Isn't the microphone on the video doorbell your doorbell? So it wouldn't be
yeah, but what if they hack into my doorbell?
What if they hack?
And then I open the door. You should have this on IoT. Stacey on IoT. Here, listen. Did you hear that?
No.
Well, turn up your sound. That's.
Oh, I did hear it.
That's now. Apparently, they were able to record this from a distance.
That's getting some pretty high frequencies too.
Yeah, and they actually roll off everything under like 10,000 hertz. They don't need it. And there are, I didn't even know this, but in most keys, there's about 330,000 keys. So using that audio file, they can reduce the search space down to just 3. So they can 3D print the keys for the codes inferred from the audio, and one of those 3 will almost certainly work.
So here's the deal. Most locks are fairly hackable with just a screwdriver or a credit card or a good kick in the door jamb.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm intrigued by people who are hacking door locks, because really what you need to watch out for, what I think about, is remote access that can open a lot of doors at once.
Yeah.
Because that is something that someone it would be worth trying.
The hack that was getting into electronic hotel doors, right? That the guy could just go down the hall one by one, open the door, go in, take your stuff, go to the next door, and all that. Yep.
And even that is still much more value add for life. So yes, if you are like a weirdly popular, like if you're Beyonce, you've got a different security profile, right?
But
for most of us, I would worry more about someone in a door jam, and it could happen.
Yeah, as Carson says, locks are just a suggestion. Like, please don't come in here.
I'm looking at that and I'm thinking about the different variables with the locks. I'm assuming not all locks are created with the same materials, right?
That is
true. No?
I don't know.
Yes.
They're supposedly, don't they make, what are those Medico locks that can't be picked, supposedly? But then Steve Gibson says, and when we talked about this yesterday on Security Now, he said, but Leo, as you and I both know, every hacker worth his salt can unlock a door very quickly with just a hat pin and a couple of lockpick tools, which I can't. But I was honored that he included me in that.
Well, what I'm saying is you go to your local hardware store and you go to pick up a lock for your front door. You see the $10 one and you see the $15 one and you see the $100 one.
Right.
They're not all made the same, so why would I assume that they all use the same types of materials?
Use the same technology.
Different materials.
No. There's a
different
certain
sounds.
No. But there are less pickable locks. Supposedly anyway. I don't know. I just thought I'd bring it up. I thought it was kind of fun. I just wanted to play that sound. I got nothing.
It's like if you tap your fork against your wine glass versus a cheaper wine glass. They're both wine glasses.
But what they're listening for is not the quality of the sound, but the actual sound of the tumbler, of the pin hitting the tumbler and setting it. So even though it might sound different, there's a distinct you heard the clicks. There's a distinct
frequency.
Click. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's like the old days of listening to a typewriter and being able to replicate what the spies could do.
It's the timing, John says. The distance between the clicks tells you how big the humps. I don't know.
Thank you, Jammer B.
Thank you, Jammer B.
I just put it in the chat, but I found the ACLU's thing on the border zone and the 100-mile border zone with the map that shows you the border zone. So,
handy.
And does it look like a lot of people are within that?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Jeff, you're in it with New York City. It's in the chat room. Oh, here, I'll put it in.
You're in it, Stacey?
Yeah, but here.
I got it
I'll
right
put
here.
it right here. Oh, you found it.
Stacey, your rights in the border zone. And this is where the figure comes from. Pretty much everybody on the coast it's just all the way around. Wow. That's
so that's all of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Palantir is going to have it all.
And they mention, as an example, on January 19th, 2 Border Patrol agents boarded a Greyhound bus at a Fort Lauderdale station and questioned passengers row by row. The bus was scheduled to travel from Orlando to Miami. No international border, but they ultimately detained a Jamaican national who they claimed overstayed her tourist visa. Apparently this happens all the time. And I remember reading about, I think it was a Vermont town that was routinely harassed by the Customs and Border Patrol agents because they would come down and on a Saturday night. They love to roust people. So 100 air miles from any external boundary of the U.S. is a reasonable distance.
Wow.
They can board a bus or train without warrant, by the way. Anywhere.
What right do you have to say, no, I'm not going to do this? Do you have any rights?
You do have that right. You have, they cannot detain you without reasonable suspicion. So if you go, there's a segment in the ACLU, are there limitations to immigration officials' power? You have the right to remain silent or tell the agent that you'll only answer questions in the presence of an attorney, no matter what your status is. And they cannot detain you without reasonable suspicion, although they can create that very quickly. And they cannot search you without probable cause or your consent.
So basically, shut up, say, I need to see an attorney, and they can't arrest you for that.
And then there's a
try not to look suspicious.
Yeah. Fascinating.
They can arrest you apparently if they ask you about your immigration status and you don't have
there's some
those
exceptions.
Documents.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's very intimidating, and you have to be a surprisingly strong-willed person to not say anything.
And you have to know this. I mean,
you have to know it.
Most people are inclined to, and you see this. I mean, you see this in cop shows all the time. But they're inclined to help because they're probably not guilty of anything, and then they get suckered into something.
Right. There's a great video. I gave it to my kids, but it's a video by a defense attorney who says, under no circumstances should you at any time speak to the police, period. No good can come of it. Just don't. You're within your rights not to, so don't. And it's on YouTube if you want to watch it. He makes a strong case. I'm not that guy. I'm going to say, sure, officer, whatever.
Yeah.
What do you need? I'm an honest guy.
Get along, Leo.
Get along, Mio. That's me. That's me. I'll tell him. I'll show him my Palantir card. Got it right here.
I'm one of you.
I'm one of you, right?
Wink, wink, secret handshake.
Yeah.
See, I'm there.
I love it when I see people, usually in hot cars, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Maseratis, and they have a license plate border that says something like, I'm in the police 100 club. There's something.
Oh, it's the 100 Club. Yeah, they have stickers.
Yeah.
You see it all the time in the suburbs.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
It's we donate money to your pension fund thing.
Yeah, and supposedly that gets you off the hook. I don't.
In Jersey, they also they have these shields they put right next to the driver in the windshield.
Yeah.
So when the cop
See, I
comes up
believe
and
it
sees,
works in Jersey.
You got a problem with that?
I know Chris Christie. It's the CHP 1199 Foundation. But see, I think that's nice. You should make a donation, but not to get out of a traffic ticket.
So a late relative of mine, somewhat distant, was friends with cops in Jersey, and they used to give him a card. And if you got stopped, you just hand over the card, and kind of it is a get out of jail free card. It says kind of I'm a friend of Corporal Tomowski.
Yeah, yeah. Look at this wallet you get.
Is it a get out of jail free card, or is it a just get out of a
Just give me a warning.
Those are very
card.
different. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can only take it so far, honestly.
Well, plus the other thing is there's all these fake police charities that call all the time.
Yeah, those, by the way, those are
awful.
Almost always scams. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So much to talk about, Leo.
So much.
Where do you
and
start?
none of it's about Google.
I'm trying.
Let's see.
What do you pick? I am. Like I said,
He's
done striving.
He's checked out.
I'm done striving. I don't have to
He's lost
strive.
his spark.
No more striving.
What about the Gap School?
What about it? You brought it up. You got to pitch it. You got to tell us why it's important.
It's yours.
It's yours. You own it now, baby. What is it?
I'm not Leo Laporte. I'm Aunt Pruitt. Come on.
So you're just going to bring up a story and then let me do the work, the heavy lifting?
Exactly.
Okay, so
you
at least
have the
do me
pipes
this.
and everything.
At least do me what Jeff does. Give me the line number.
Oh, line number. Sorry. Line number is 28, sir.
Okay, so from now on, just give me the line number. Oh, yeah, actually, I started this, but I couldn't figure out how to pronounce ex-Googlers. These are ex-Googlers. They have formed a virtual tech school for gap year students. Jeff, you were in a bit of a Twitter feud about the idea of taking a year off. You know, I feel
as if that was better necessarily. It was a matter of privileged
people
people
with
can do
privilege
it better
could
than
do it.
those who
Yeah.
aren't. Yes.
But I feel so bad for kids who worked hard. They got through high school. First of all, they didn't get to walk, as high school seniors. And then the college says, by the way, just stay home. You can watch your classes on video.
We know you get along well with mom and dad.
Oh, my God. I feel so bad for this generation. That just
But you know what?
sucks.
I had my first class today. Last week, I had the whole entire incoming class, 100 people in Zoom.
Wow.
Zoom didn't work for breakout sessions.
Oh.
I had to do a 100-person brainstorm session. Right? But today we had the actual first class with 16 students, and it was great. And Zoom was wonderful.
Good. Were they at home? Where are they?
Yeah, they're at home wherever, and one's in Venezuela, one's in Mexico, all over the country. Yeah,
Nice.
they're mainly New Yorkers, but
yeah. So I think we're going to learn how to do this better, and it may actually be that after quarantine we actually have a new technique, which is great. But I think if I were a college kid, I might be tempted if I had the option to take a year off. And Jeff, you were saying well, not everybody could do the grand tour and just kick around, but maybe what you do is you work, you get a job at the grocery store. And
Leo, have you heard?
What?
We have 60 million people out of jobs.
Oh yeah, there's that. Right.
There's that.
Yeah, but there are jobs. Like my daughters got a job a couple months ago at Trader Joe's, and some of these jobs nobody wants because they're, if you're an ad executive, you don't want to work as a bagger at Trader Joe's, but they're for college kids.
I would do it. I would work at Starbucks.
She loves it. Abby loves it. I mean,
by the way, so Leo, this is I'm about to give you a great tip here. Because Trader Joe's has a new dish. I wanted the food people on the call here.
Okay.
See what you think.
Yeah.
One of my favorite dishes when I go to Italy, I have it without fail. I love this. It is the simplest, most elegant, wonderful dish there is. Cacio e pepe.
Cacio e pepe.
I love cacio e pepe. There's a place near me that makes so good.
So this won't be that place, but Trader Joe's has frozen microwavable cacio e pepe, and I'm going to have it tonight, and it's really good.
I bet I could make this because it's just pasta and pepper.
And cheese.
And cheese.
And cheese and a little bit. So you can always add, like the place near me does lemon, which is delightful.
My parents used to make this all the time. They called it spaghetti al burro, which means spaghetti with butter. It's when we didn't have any sauce.
It's different. No, it's different. Cacio e pepe is different. There's a lot of cheese, and it's just the right timing to get it to coat properly. It's a big deal. I've made it. Even I have made it twice. Once successfully, once not. But
it's kind of like pasta carbonara.
It's like carbonara, which I've made, yeah. But there's no egg and there's no bacon. Right. It's a 6, so it's. And by the way, I would make my own pasta if you really wanted to do it right. Make some tagliolini, some bucatini, some spaghetti. You put in the butter, the cracked pepper, the Parmigiano Reggiano, a little pecorino for bite. It's not hard. What's hard about this? You toss it in the pan.
I'm going to go out after the show, and my wife refuses to eat this late, and I get out of the freezer and I put it in the microwave dish.
That's true.
In
it's
7
all done.
minutes.
It's ready to go.
I've got a great
It's ready to go.
dish.
Yeah.
It's
Cacio.
good. It is adult macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cacioepepe. Cacio.
I've never
e
heard of
pepe.
that.
Cheese and pepper.
Oh, it's delicious.
Or as my mom and dad called it, spaghetti al burro. I have some grain out back. I'm trying to grow the heritage.
Are you going to mill your own wheat?
I actually do mill
flour?
my own wheat. Wait a minute. I do mill my own wheat, but I don't grow the grain. In fact, my son, who's a little wise ass, he's 17, says, when we say, we're going to homemade pasta, he said, you're growing the wheat? I said, no.
I will say, so this is as crazy as I got, but I was like, I realized how much our food chain is like so much better, right, than like life used to be. Because I made a loaf of bread, and it happened to be the same day that I had also made meatballs and we were going to do paninis.
Delicious.
And then I also had fresh tomatoes. So I was like, oh, I'll just make the tomato sauce with the basil. And dear God, I was cooking for like 6 hours.
Well, that's the problem
for a
with starting
sandwich
fresh tomatoes. And and they ate it in 5 minutes. Mom, that was great. Bye.
Yeah. I mean, it
Where's
was
the payoff?
tasty. But I don't think I'd ever do that again. It was only happenstance. I didn't do it.
It's hard to make it from fresh tomatoes, but because there's a lot of cooking involved. If you get some nice San Marzano tomatoes, here's a trick I learned from the great Marcella Hazan, one of the great Italian cookbooks of all time. Very simple marinara sauce. A can of Marzanos are the best, San Marzano tomatoes. Diced if you want, whole if you want. You can squish them up. A half an onion and a stick of butter. That's it. Cook it for 45 minutes. That's it. It's the most...
I'm going to one-up you.
Fantastic.
Better.
Yeah?
Roast it instead of cooking it.
Oh,
Your
good thinking.
tomatoes are going to caramelize a little bit.
Very
but you
nice.
still get the
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, I like it.
And I will, I'm going to throw this all in, if you don't want onion, because I'm not a huge onion fan, stick some garlic. If you want to get crazy, stick like an anchovy fillet.
But see, that's why we
that.
don't chop up the onion. We cut it in half and put it a half an onion in there, because then you take it out.
And
it just flavors it. And the butter gives it a nice fatty smoothness. It's very good. Yeah.
I learned this from Blue Apron. I now finish all of my pasta sauces.
That's a good idea in the oven.
Even a pat of butter.
Yeah. You always put a little bit. You know what? What is it? Salt, acid, fat,
heat.
And it's only a few things in the world.
That's it.
That's it. God, now, why are we doing this week in Google? We should be doing a cooking show.
When is our cooking show going to happen?
The application process was open for classes to start on September 14th.
Oh, yeah, gap years. Oh, yeah.
But,
oh, yeah.
But they don't mention anything about pricing for this particular service or opportunity for kids trying to have a gap school year.
So I love the idea. Take advantage of that gap semester. Invest 8 weeks this fall, preparing for the real world. Build your network. Gain guidance from mentors. This is a great idea. Let's apply. You know what? Here's how you find out how much it's going to cost.
There we go.
Let's apply.
Send a form.
Send in the form.
Google form.
It doesn't sound like it costs anything. I think you just fill this out. I don't know how you would, I bet you it's just virtual, right? It's called an externship, not an internship, because it's virtual. And
if it's virtual, that's fine, but that still doesn't particularly mean free of charge, though, right?
Yeah, and they talk about mentorship. Obviously, not everyone can do this, so there has to be something, right?
What is my time commitment? Who is this course designed for? College seniors. You have to be 18. 8-week program starts September 14th.
College seniors or
high school seniors?
High school seniors.
No, wait a minute.
Okay.
Wait a minute. What? College seniors and juniors.
Oh, so this is not for kids
weird.
going to college.
That's weird. So it isn't really gap years.
Well, it's an accidental gap.
Okay, now I'm really confused.
It's a gap in the middle of your college years as opposed to between high school and college.
Courses will be taught live via video. So that's how they can accommodate. There is no cost to attend our speaker series and workshops. We will offer additional services you might find useful to purchase in the future. You don't get credit for it. There's no cost. It's really just informational video seminars about a lot of things that you might want to know about. And here's an example of your schedule, project planning, how to stand out to recruiters. This is for people about to graduate from college. This is to get you ready for your career, which I think is a great thing. I think this is
especially since colleges can be so terrible at that.
Yeah.
They really, like, if you ever go to like career counseling or services at a college, I mean, sometimes you just get the most outlandishly weird information. And I get why. It's because they're trying to counsel people, you know, through a wide variety of jobs, but it's terrible.
So if you're a college junior or senior, you're going to take a gap semester because of COVID. Go to xooglerschool.com, XOOGLERSCHOOL.com. I think, Ant, thank you for bringing this up. This is really good. That's really neat, and it's free. And it's definitely pre-professional training. I think that's really great.
So we just
I had high schoolers on the brain because I'm thinking about my hard-headed son is a senior.
Yeah, what's he going to do?
We don't know yet. We're still going through the process of trying to figure out where to go. He definitely wants to go to college, but
and he won't be going till a year from September. So by then,
knock wood.
Really?
I think it'll still be different, but I think we'll be
in better shape.
We'll be in a different place that should be slightly better, but it may not be what we are used to.
Right. I think that's true in general. I mean, that's...
Well, yeah, that's... Thank you, Stacey. Thank you, Captain
life.
Obvious.
But it will be even more different than we expect.
I think a year from now, organizations will have learned a lot on how to deal with what we're dealing with.
I think they already
we'll
have
things in place.
Some
have and some haven't.
Maybe
Schools
not.
are terribly slow.
Are they? Because my son is attending the Petaluma High for the first time this year as a senior. He was at another online school for a couple of years volitionally.
Oh, I didn't know he was switching to Petaluma. Oh, wow.
Well, he wants to walk with his friends.
Oh, right. Okay, got it. Right.
But they have learned a lot in the intervening summer. They've really got the systems down a lot better. And I think next year they'll be even better still. I just hope that we can get back to some sort of group activities. I don't know.
So while we're on that, can I do a quick plug for my school, for the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism?
Yes, you may.
That we just redid our entrepreneurial journalism program, and applications just opened for we were planning this all online anyway. It was not because of COVID. 100-day all online program for a certificate for the independent, resilient journalist. So if you want to serve someone, a community or market with your Substack email and your YouTube and your Medium and events, where we can have them and so on and so forth, and make money through Patreon and Kickstarter and all of that, then that's what we're going to teach you.
Stacey, you should definitely.
I said, Jeff, I've actually talked to, Rosenthal Alves, right? I've talked to him about his classes in the past about entrepreneurial journalism. So if you want, not only do I have my own media company, my husband has his own media company in a totally different place.
We will, nice. Not a different physical place, but a...
No, you're right. It's the
place.
Same place.
Plug over.
Do you think your school has gotten better at it, Jeff, that you've kind of figured out remote learning?
Honest answer is that what we're still doing is, in the early days of media, we called it shovelware, right? Do what you used to do in this new way.
Yeah.
I think the benefit that's going to come out of this for us is the professors are all getting very excited about suddenly making hybrid things. They're making videos for the classes. The students can watch them at their own. I did my entire orientation thing and did not only YouTube videos, I turned it into a podcast so they could listen. That's something I hadn't done before. So I think we'll get better. Yes, we're doing fine at replicating what we did, but our classes are still 3 hours long. That's kind of ridiculous. Right?
Yeah.
We got to rethink that.
Can't do the remote
I think
for 3 hours.
This will open up our brains to rethink things more fundamentally, which will be a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing. Hey, let's go ahead.
Nope. I was just going to say exactly. That's what I think in a year. That's the stuff I think
it'll
will
be like.
Different.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll have a vaccine by then.
Even so, I don't think we'll be at the same place. and we're not thinking the vaccine as a panacea is silly. I wouldn't
Really?
get your hopes up there. Yeah.
Do you think
we're
when do
looking
you
at
think
lower levels of immunity? We're looking at a population that has lots of anti-vaxxers. I mean, you're looking
but
at...
if I'm vaccinated, I don't care about them.
Right?
Yeah, because societal norms is going to be totally different.
But if, I mean...
your whatever
you're
immunity you get from the vaccination is not going to last forever.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'll get another
it's
one.
still
then.
around in the population.
Yeah.
When you're
Look at
down, it can hit
the
you.
pandemic in 1918 never went away. It's H1N1. And we get a flu vaccine every fall.
But it doesn't necessarily stop just that.
Do you know?
It doesn't
do you
stop all
think,
flus.
Is it? No, I know, I understand. And sometimes you get the flu. And really, the only reason that works is because it did mutate into something less fatal, which was a good thing. And there's no guarantee that would happen with COVID-19. But do you think? I mean, at some point, like in a year, 2 years, will I ever get to travel again? Will I ever get to eat at a restaurant, go to a movie, go to a bar? Not at my age.
That is a question. I mean, you can say, like, there's lots of people who might not. That's the other thing. You can say you'll get a vaccine, but maybe you won't be able to get a vaccine for production errors. Maybe it'll be riskier for people who are your age.
So
maybe,
you're just saying it's unknown.
I'm saying it's unknown, and it's likely not to ever go back to being, well, ever is a strong term. I don't think it'll go back within the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Because the next one's coming.
Well, that's the other thing that concerns me. I mean, it isn't like this is unheard of. We had SARS and we had MERS, and we were lucky in both cases. We kind of dodged a bullet because of the kind of the profile of those particular viruses. We didn't this time, and we could not again next time. And that could be a year from now. That could be 3 years from now. We don't know, right?
I'm sure Elon Musk will have a cure by then.
I actually like wearing a mask if it's freshly ironed.
Feels kind of
like the smell
like
of
a nice
starch.
sheet on the bed.
I do. I use the Niagara spray starch. It's like wearing a nice sheet. It's like getting in bed when your sheets are changed. It's very nice. You put a nice, freshly ironed mask. The nice thing about that, ironing a mask takes a second compared to ironing a sheet. So you can have a freshly ironed mask every single day of the week. How about that?
Do you guys have ironed sheets?
That would be
Is that
no.
really something y'all do?
That would be no.
No.
I'm old enough to
No,
remember
my
when they were
in-laws actually have their housekeepers iron their sheets. And the first time I slept in there, I was like, what is happening?
Pretty nice.
I'd never experienced It's very
It's
nice.
pretty nice if you can do it.
But I'm also like, who would make someone iron sheets?
So
That's
I've
just
learned
the height of...
from my devoted watching of my reality show Below Deck, which is all about the life of people who work in the charter yacht business, you know, those 150-foot mega yachts, that there actually is a big rolling device that they iron their sheets, but they don't do it with an iron. There's a big rolling device. You put it through.
It's a press.
Yeah. So we just get one of those.
Press. Should we talk about Gutenberg?
Gutenberg!
Nope.
I want to do the change log. Play the drums!
The Google changelog.
Google, you will be thrilled to learn Jeff Jarvis is rolling out automatic dark light mode switching to the Google keyboard, the Gboard beta users. Enough said.
It happened to me recently.
Did it just happen?
Not that. No, not that. Something else, but it made it go to dark mode, and I was growling.
Google is releasing AdMob for Android. Early access available, not to everybody, on the Play Store. You can keep track of your earnings, your apps, explore useful metrics. I don't know.
Yeah, you're so excited about this change.
I'm not an app developer.
You lost your spark.
I can't do it. I lost my spark.
You're not striving for
I lost my mojo. Google Camera 7.5 does away with storing pixel portrait pairs in individual photos. I don't even know what I just said.
Is that the two pictures that happen? Like
Right,
sometimes when I take a
portrait
picture
mode.
in certain...
Yeah, it saves a blurred version and the original shot so that you can, edit one or the other if you want.
Oh,
Currently, 7.4, each pair generates and is stored in a standalone folder, which means you will have hundreds and thousands of folders. So now they got some other way of doing it.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah, it helps you clean up your phone a little bit.
Right. They're actually going to name it in a way that you can look at it and go, oh, that's the portrait and that's the original. And yeah, that's good. I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. I actually go between looking at those two point of views because sometimes the focal length is just right.
Right.
With that versus using the regular focal length on the non-portrait mode. So you can just pick between the two and don't necessarily keep the blur, but still have that same focal length and that same bit of distortion.
You'll also get the new naming begins with a PXL, then the date, then a serial number, and then the name has information about whether it's the cover or the original. So that's good. That's going to be available in Android 11, which just, I think, it's another public beta. So I think we must be getting close to the release of Android 11. I like it a lot. I really like it a lot. Let's see. Google Chrome version 80 is now out, and it's 10% faster, kids.
With tabs.
It's got tab grouping.
Better tab grouping.
Better
already had tab grouping. Somehow now it's 10% faster tab grouping.
Newer 10% faster.
I haven't. Have you used tab grouping? Or no, that's right. You won't use.
I use Firefox. Actually, I downloaded 80 just this morning just to see what's different about it. And it's not. I like pinned tabs a lot. So this is kind of like pinned tabs, but you can have groups of work groups and stuff. So that's nice. So you can have a news, and I would do that. I have a news. Here's an example. This is a tab that's now expanded and then contracted back down to save room. Because what happens, as happens to me with a lot of pinned tabs, is pretty soon your whole top of the browser bar is occupied.
Yep.
And something QR codes.
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all. I didn't.
Okay, let me scroll down. What
it's
is
a new way to
something?
share URLs. You can, in fact, print the page or generate a QR code. So with a little dinosaur in it.
This is the QCat goes virtual?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah. So if you want to share a web page with somebody, you can just give them the little dinosaur QR code.
Are you guys old enough to know about the QCat?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
I know Dave.
I know you do, old man.
I know the guy who invented it.
You're not.
I don't know. Well, if I'm old enough, I don't know anything about it. So
well, guess what?
Not enlightened.
We have one somewhere. It's probably in my. Oh wait, throw it to me. Ah!
I feel like we invoked the QCat an
This
awful
is why you
lot.
watch this show live. And the mic falls. This is why you watch it live.
Yeah, they're not going to cut that out. I guarantee you. It'll probably be tweeted. So that's a QCat. We've talked about this like five times already.
Never mind. Okay, stop.
I've seen it, but I know nothing.
Mine is
Dan
autographed.
doesn't know what it does.
Mine's autographed by Dave Matthews, the guy who invented it, not the band.
That's the guy who wore the
huge
the
fan
big
of
cufflinks.
Twit and your team. Thanks for doing what you do, Dave Matthews, inventor.
What's that handle?
They gave these away at Radio Shacks. You could tell it's pretty old because instead of having like a USB connector, it's got these keyboard connector. And the idea is you'd read a newspaper and you'd see a barcode. It wasn't a QR code. And you could scan it with this and it would open your browser.
Because URLs were just too difficult to ever imagine anyone would ever type them in.
This did not make a big splash, especially because it's cat-shaped, but it's cool to have. And Dave Matthews signed it for me.
I thought the cat shape was a selling point myself.
Yeah.
The internet loves
you have a cat and a mouse.
I think it was free too. Right. You got a cat and
yeah. Wired gave them away. That was the whole idea. You're going to put codes on every one of your ads and stories.
Yeah.
You were going to be tethered to your desktop machine in the den.
Right.
Because it was going to be too difficult to type in a URL.
Usually change logs are things that are good. This is a thing that is bad. Google Fi is ending its payment grace period for COVID-19. So they're going to return to their standard policies for late payments and data speeds because, good news, COVID's over. Everybody's back to work. The economy's booming. Congratulations.
Well, to be fair, how long do you do this? I mean, how long do you hold off on letting people pay for essential services? And possibly, maybe if Google says, all right, we're not doing this and all these other people do this, maybe the government will realize that they need to solve this. I keep thinking we're going to get nationwide broadband, but I've so far been wrong.
Oh, gosh. We're going to get Starlink. We're going to get Elon Musk broadband for $80 a month. That's what we're going to get.
It's not going to help people.
Cancel my Fi. I only used Fi when I was traveling. If I stop the Fi, do I keep my number?
Oh, that's a issue. No, I guess you could. You could probably transfer it back to Google Voice. Yeah, you want to keep your number.
Yeah.
Earlier this year, Google extended the Fi grace period in which subscribers maintain full cellular service to 60 days from the missed billing date. So you had 2 months. And if you experience hardship related to COVID-19, you could request an extension from your account page. They are now reverting the late payment extension back to 3 days, not 60 days. After that, you won't be able to make or accept calls, send or receive texts, or use data. Google One subscriptions also get suspended. Meanwhile, full-speed data limits will return to 15 gigabytes for flexible, 22 gigabytes for unlimited, starting on or after September 3rd. So,
sounds like they're on par with everybody else in the
I guess
market.
it's back to normal.
Yeah, everybody else has started to change their services back in July or so.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Oh, you can stop your Google Fi temporarily. How long is temporary?
Oh, that's
up to 3 months.
Just halt it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just
I'll do
halt
that
it for 3 months and then pay for
Remember
it for a month, and then you can come back to it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that because basically I'm paying for Zoom now instead of Google Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you look for weather on your Android device now, you will see the cute little Google frog that is in all the weather displays has started wearing a mask when he goes outside. It's kind of cute.
So I have a question about the Google frog.
Yes.
Does he do the same activities for like certain temperatures? What is like, because you sometimes see the same stuff, but I have never mapped out his activities to the temperature, but I kind of wish someone had. Maybe someone has, but I'm very curious if the frog is like...
Yeah. That's a good question.
No one ever asked this? Come on, y'all. I know someone out there has wondered this and knows the answer.
Stacey?
I never even noticed the dadgum frog on this thing.
I love the frog because I feel like
what
the
frog
frog...
is he talking about?
So, okay. Well, here, everybody pick up your phone.
Okay.
My temperature right now is 75 Fahrenheit. And my frog, I've never seen him do this before. He's actually on the roof of a building in a lawn chair with a glass next to him wearing his mask.
Aw.
What is your frog?
How do I get the frog? How do I get it? I don't even know.
What's the weather like?
Click the little weather icon.
The weather icon. Where's the weather icon?
That's what I do. It's on my front screen. Mine has the frog up on top of a rock or a hill or whatever. Looks like he's having look like it's having lunch in a spot of tea or maybe coffee. It's just a little bit smoky and hazy. Maybe you can see it. I don't know. Let's see.
I don't have a weather.
There we go. I got it.
I don't have weather.
There he is.
I have no frog. I've seen that frog on the rock. Okay, and that was 70.
Oh, I've got a frog on the roof with a drink.
Oh,
it's 73.
But what's your temperature?
73.
Oh.
Where do you get this guy? How do you get
right here, Leo.
On this screen.
I don't have a Pixel launcher.
Oh, you don't have a Pixel?
No.
But there.
Because he's got to be special. Leo can't have
a different launcher. So I don't have that thing.
Leo's got to be contrarian.
But what I don't understand is there's no way to get it otherwise. There's not like a weather app.
If you Google weather. If you Google weather, then you should get. Now, my frog on the weather is flying a kite.
Weather.
Yeah, mine looks different now.
Is he flying a kite? Yeah, what if our frogs are the same?
Mine is.
I have a frog in my
I can't tell what that is. He's on the rooftop somewhere with the.
Oh, that's mine. So I have the rooftop.
Yeah, it looks like yours
right now in my other weather. Okay, so this is a huge digression, but it was about Google. So
That was our only story about Google all day long. I don't have any weather.
Oh, no, you scroll down, Leo.
That was it. That was it.
No. Here's what.
Weather.
Look at me. Look
No,
at me. And then I
you're
go
getting
down.
a different weather than I am. See my weather?
Yeah, you're.
Because you have that damn dark mode. That's why.
Well,
He's
that's
getting the
interesting.
Samsung
Look,
stuff.
I can scroll up and up and up, but no weather.
It's a different skin.
Right.
I got some. It's not a Samsung. It's some. I don't know. It's weird. That's the Google changelog. Okay, I'm going to give you one last chance to pick a story. Well, I have a few. Wait a minute. I got to pick a few. There's a few here. Like it turns out, I didn't know this, but there is a Scottish Wikipedia. Did you see this?
Boy.
Yes.
I saw the headline. I didn't get into the story.
So apparently this Scottish Wikipedia is being edited, but the problem is it's by a guy who doesn't speak Scottish. He's some American guy, according to Vice, a self-professed Christian INTP furry living somewhere in North Carolina. And
Leo, stop. You got to do this in the accent. You have to do the story in the accent.
I thought he was living in
As fake as he
Petaluma.
is.
well, the funny thing is, his Scottish is about as real as mine is. So here's an example. This is the first article he edited. The Human Development Index. It's just a simple thing. I'll just blow it up. Free Wikipedia, the free book of knowledge. The Human Development Index is a composite statistic of life expectancy, education, and income indices to rank countries into 4 tiers of human development.
Oh my God.
But that apparently is no relation to anything, let alone Scottish. Apparently, though, he's not doing it for any mean reason. What he's doing is he'll write the article in English and then look up each word in a Scottish English dictionary and just stick it in if it kind of sort of matches. But this is the sad part. He's responsible for 1/3 of the Scots Wikipedia entries.
And probably nobody noticed till now.
Well, yeah. One user wrote, I find it insulting that you would pass this off as our native language, which you clearly don't speak. Again, as a native Scot and native speaker, no one uses this site as it isn't even close to resembling any Scots language. This is here on a page about the movie $1 Million Baby. He wrote, this film is about an unappreciated boxing trainer. Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer payment system introduced as open source software in 2009 by developer Satoshi Nakamoto.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. There's no indication, according to Vice, that Amaryllis, that's this guy's name, Amaryllis Gardner, his handle, was attempting to do anything wrong, but their work has been damaging nonetheless. On their talk page, they wrote, if I had to do it over, I would have kept to more cleanup and just keeping the wiki up and running instead of writing articles. But I meant the best.
It's like those old ladies who try to redo the Renaissance painting.
Yeah, exactly.
And you end up with something horrible,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, you get the smush Jesus.
Yeah.
On the Reddit post, it says the damage done by this may be more severe than anyone anticipates. As a result, quote, this person has possibly done more damage to the Scots language than anyone in history. Because of this cultural vandalism, it's possible many people think Scots is a horribly mangled rendering of English rather than a language of its own, and for which I take some responsibility.
As you should.
So now they're debating, what do we do? If we close it, it will never be reopened. The guy was just trying to preserve Scottish Wikipedia.
Oh, God.
just amazes
What
me.
the answer is to solicit more people,
get more
to
Scots.
get more people to more Scottish people to actually participate, because that's is the downside of not having enough participants in an open ecosystem.
Yeah. It was apparently he was a teenager when he started doing it. The Redditor who discovered it said, "I've been told that there's been harassment going on. This seems like a nice person who made a mistake when they were a young child, a mistake nobody ever bothered to correct. It's hardly their fault. They're very passionate and dedicated." The Scots language version of Wikipedia is legendarily bad.
Wow.
Blaise Pascal was a French mathematician, physicist, inventor, writer, and Christian philosopher. He was a child prodigy that was educated by his father, a tax collector in Rouen. So I think the kid thought, this is it. This is how they do it.
Can you find some real Scottish? Can we find some real Scottish language? Is there an example of that?
They misuse common elements of Scots that are even regularly found in Scots English, like sign and, may an old acquaintance be forgot and ne'er brought to mind. That's a Scots, right? Old Lang Syne.
There's Scots language and then there's Scottish English.
Yeah, I don't.
Once again, where's John McWhorter?
It's pretty funny.
It is.
Yeah, and the funniest thing is the kid apparently was sincere. This wasn't like some.
That's not funny. That's sad. Everybody's being mean to him.
He's like Star Wars kid.
My fear is that he's a Twit fan.
He's probably watching right now, and he learned how to speak Scots from me.
In the chat room.
It's all me fault. Welcome to Wikipedia. Would you like a scone? All right. I did kiss the scone, a schoon, or a schoon. I don't know what it's called.
Wouldn't you have like a bannock, not a scone?
I'd have a bannock. Was Zoom down for your daughter a couple of days ago?
They use Google Meets.
Oh, they use Meet. So I got a panicked a call from Lisa, said the school called us. They said Zoom's down.
It was.
Yeah. And the children, they did rejoice, according to The Verge.
I like the idea of calling it the new snow day.
The new snow day. Well, we really got a snow year is what we got. It was a big outage that covered much of the United States at the beginning of the school day. So, yeah, Zoom
So this
days.
was on what? This was on the 24th at what time?
It started at 6:52 a.m., I guess, Eastern.
So there's a hilarious Twitter account called Associate Deans, @_deans, that makes fun of all administrators and universities. And at the same time, it just said, "Do you have a plan for when Zoom goes down? Correct?" And everyone was retweeting the hell out of that.
I love it.
Trust us, we're from the middle administration and we're here to help you. You do have a plan for when Zoom goes down, correct? All right.
So trolly.
Boys might be weathering the pandemic better than girls. Guess which august newspaper printed that headline?
New York Times, Wall Street Journal. Wall Street Journal. Sorry.
Or, yeah, it could have been the New York Post, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who?
This is by somebody named Julie Jargon. Really? Video game.
Oh, I know Julie.
Oh.
She talks to my husband for things.
Well,
and never quotes him.
video game playing has soared during the COVID-19 pandemic, fueled largely by boys who socialize while they play. That's true. I have to say, our 17-year-old, as soon as school's out, he sits right down in front of the computer and plays video games with his friends, with his school friends.
Yep. Typical day.
That's socializing.
And plus, they're antisocial. They don't want to be around anybody.
Yeah.
They're happy.
Boys like it.
Speaking of video games, did you see the AI-created tennis games?
Federer versus Federer. Let's see it right now. I didn't
don't
see
think they're
it.
Scottish.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. So they made little sprites, and then
Federer played himself.
They have Federer. They can put anybody against anybody, and it's real players with real shots mixed.
So I'm confused. Is this
Those
real?
are two sprites. Those are not. If you look carefully,
Oh
you'll
yeah,
see
they're not really
they're
attached to the ground. Yeah.
Right.
So in
right?
fact, and nobody else is moving. So obviously, and so where are the sprites generated from real games?
I think they take pieces. Yeah. So it's an annotated database of shots.
That's awesome.
Keep going. Now we have Federer v. Federer.
I don't think we're ever going to really need tennis players ever again.
No, we're not. Certainly baseball. Or you can do that. And now you can know
Serena
Federer v. Williams.
Serena versus Federer. Yeah,
That's cool, isn't it? And then finally,
something you'd never see, right?
Yeah, you'd never see that.
Now you can direct where the shot goes, and the AI will do it.
Oh my God! It'll actually put it there, and then Federer will get it there.
This becomes a whole new view of a sport game.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Will this be the next version of esports? Is that what
That's
you're
what
saying?
I'm thinking. Yeah, but it's going to feel realer because you're going to have real players. You can do it in baseball because they spend 9 hours just standing there, so that'll be easy.
Well, they do.
I will say my husband is
Madden
desperate for
football.
sports.
It's the same concept of
you could
figuring
generate
out how to control where the ball goes and things like that. So
yeah.
So who put this ad in for the IBM Selectric? Did you put this in?
I did.
I always wanted one of these. Boy, did I
This
want
is
one
the
of these.
best thing that's happened to typing since electricity. The IBM Selectric typewriter. Instead of type bars,
Is
there's
that
an
Orson
ingenious
Welles?
printing element
No.
that dances across the paper at incredible speed.
that is pretty
Faster than
badass.
light.
those in Austin.
Now watch in slow motion as it turns, tilts, and prints. This tiny printing element is also interchangeable. Simply remove one type style. Choose another from several
Look at
distinctive
all those
typefaces.
balls.
That's pretty cool.
I wanted
and
the
click
big
it
one
into place.
that you could do speeches with.
Takes only 5 seconds, and you're ready to start typing again. Someday all typewriters will work like the IBM Selectric.
Someday,
Before
all
I went.
typewriters will be on the trash heap of history or in the lobby of the Craig Newmark Graduate
That's
School
right.
of Journalism.
Got them there.
I was a typewriter fetishist when I was in high school and college. That was instead of computers and smartphones, that was your tool, right?
Yeah, I was a good typist, so I ended up at 3 a.m. typing papers for other students because I was a schmuck.
Did they pay you?
Oh man,
No.
I did that in college.
Just a nice
It
guy.
wasn't on a typewriter. It was going to the computer lab, but none of my football teammates knew how to type. So
You made money. I see you're smarter than I am. man.
and smart. He's like,
I'm a socialist.
Somebody posted this story about the Telegram messenger being used in Belarus during the protests over the election.
And so what they said, and what's fascinating about it was that at one point in the demonstration, there's no microphones, there's no power, there's nothing, but suddenly everybody does the same thing. They all leave. Right? They all do this because they're all getting the same messages on Telegram.
That's really interesting. We've
Isn't
seen
it?
this before. We saw it in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting. And it's very
But now it's
difficult for the
encrypted.
authorities to stop. Yeah, Telegram is encrypted. I actually really like Telegram. It's not it's not an open source crypto, so it's not necessarily as safe as Signal say. But I like it. I really like using it. And you know what? Obviously this worked because if the Belarus authorities could figure out how to get these guys, they probably would.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Telegram's really a nice messaging app. I really like it. All right, let's.
owns it?
What? Who owns
owns
it?
it?
So the story is interesting because it was they called him the Mark Zuckerberg of Russia. His name was Pavel. I can't remember his last name. Durov, that's it. And he was a Russian national, created Telegram, was very successful.
Before that, he created vKontakte.
Which was the actual Facebook of Russia. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he had to leave the country because they tried to take it over, and they took it over. And
well, that's what happened. Is he didn't want to sell it, but Putin's government insisted. And in fact, he was involved in a standoff with police in St. Petersburg. So he left the country. He fled
He's
Russia.
in hiding.
Yeah, and after leaving Russia, he got citizenship at St. Kitts and Nevis by donating $250,000 to the Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation. Hey, if that's all it costs, I'm on my way. And
You're diversifying into extortion?
Sugar.
It's like,
and then he formed Telegram, which was originally based in Berlin. They flirted with a cryptocurrency for a while, which thank goodness they kind of dumped. The Ton platform. They raised money from Steve Jobs' widow, Laurene Powell Jobs. Federal courts halted those. He's self-described as a libertarian and a vegetarian. But he's an interesting fella. It's an interesting story.
Yes, he's very
interesting. I don't know if I fully trust it or not. I really don't. But it is a great messaging platform. If he used an open source, well-known messaging algorithm, I'd jump on it in a heartbeat because I really like it. But I just don't know if I can trust it. Not that anything I'm messaging is anything important.
Well, you don't trust anything. So
I trust you, Jeff Jarvis. Napster has been acquired.
What?
Remember Napster? Are you guys old enough to remember Napster?
Oh yeah.
Yes, we're old enough to remember Napster. Goodness, Jeff.
It's
just barely though.
$70 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Napster was owned most recently by Real Networks. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Yeah.
Are you old enough to know that everybody hated Real Networks?
Everybody.
Yes. Real Player. Yeah, Real Player was it. Yeah.
That was the beginning of the DRM dramas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, Rob Glazier was a classmate at Yale, and I've served on some committees with him. He's a nice guy. I like him a lot. But he said the company was grateful for the hard work by the entire Napster team to keep the torch alive all these years. Sold it for surprisingly a lot of money, $70 million to a VR experience company, Melody VR. It was $44 million in debt, mostly to music industry companies. And they're going to use Napster to establish, quote, an entertainment platform that spans immersive live performances and recording music streaming. I like it that people are still coming up with ideas, trying to do something different.
Now's the time.
Yeah, this is the time to do concerts you don't have to go to, things like that. All right.
Concerts you don't have to go to.
Coming up next, get them ready. It's time for your picks of the week. Let's start those picks of the week with Stacey Higginbotham.
Is it time?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I was like, I was not prepared for this.
Yes, you are. You have a good pick.
Is an app. I actually wrote about it last week in the newsletter. So this may be not news to everyone, but it's a good app. It's called S'mores Up. It is a chore app. And I wrote about it because they connected it to Bosch dishwashers. So if your connected dishwasher, if you have this app and a connected dishwasher, your dishwasher can actually, when it's done working, it will assign the chore to whichever kid does your dishes.
Time to empty the dishwasher.
But even if you don't have any of those things, because that's probably like 10 people, it's actually really handy for, especially in the pandemic. Like I feel like I'm constantly just telling my child, like, be here, do this,
Yeah.
Did you do this?
Yeah.
There's a lot more
nagging. You don't want to be a nag, yeah.
And it's not necessarily nagging. It's just, these things need to be done.
Mommy.
Or parenting.
Yes,
Jeff.
as we call it.
True. No, I'm speaking to a mom.
Yes.
True. Yes.
But this app actually takes some of that off your plate, and it helps incentivize kids. If my kid is not super money motivated, but you can assign chores token values, and they get enough tokens. They could save some of it. They could apply it towards things. It's a nice app, and there's like calendaring features. I think if you have more kids, it's probably more useful because I don't know. My brother and I used to have like these complicated monopoly style negotiations over who did what chore on what day. And, I would trade 2 dishwasher unloadings for 1 folding the laundry.
Barter.
All of this happens in the app. And you don't have to like mediate it or deal with it unless it doesn't get done. And then the app's like, yo, this didn't happen. You can set like times for something to have happened by, and it'll be like, hey, it's 4:00. No one walked the dog.
This is cool.
And yeah, so
I'm going to make this my app cap on iOS today, I think, because I don't have any occasion to use it. Actually, Lisa probably would like to use it with me.
You could actually, you can do that.
I could see that.
I can
And
totally
you can actually
see
do
that.
it for yourself if you wanted to.
I
I just got a chore reminder. Take take pet for a walk. Assigned to me, but it is my job.
That's
for
fair.
the afternoon.
This way it's fair, right?
Yeah.
75 days or 750 chores free.
So the free version is actually quite nice, I will say.
Okay.
You might want the premium version if you have a larger family. And I talked to the founders, and they're not taking data on your child. They're not pulling any personally identifiable data on any of this. I actually told them I, as a parent, would be interested in like aggregate data on like, at what age do kids start making their bed every day?
Yeah.
That'd be kind of fun. But they don't do any of that.
Yeah. Oh.
I just, you know how parents love to like benchmark.
Are my kids normal?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or more like, is it
parent?
crazy that I expect my child to do this at the age of 14?
Yeah.
And
No, that's a
fixing?
good question. Yeah. I like this. S'mores Up, SMORESUP.com, Android, iOS, and Amazon. You can put it on your fire. Jeff, do you have a number?
So a wonderful tweet I just saw when we were on the air. Hey guys, want to feel old? I'm 40. You're welcome. Signed, Macaulay Culkin.
Oh my God.
Wow.
The child star of Home Alone.
It's 40.
Wow.
He's 40.
I have another one if you want.
Sure.
This is a couple days ago, so it's even more so now. I didn't realize this. The top 5 companies, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Microsoft, Facebook, the 5 largest publicly traded companies in America, rose 37% in the first 7 months of this year. Guess why? Because we need them. While other stocks fell, the S&P 500 fell a combined 6%.
I think I mentioned this last week.
Oh, you did? Okay, never mind.
By the way, thanks to Macaulay Culkin, here's a picture of him then and now. This is actually Macaulay with Donald Trump in Home Alone. I think it was in the second one, right? Where he goes to New York City.
Second.
Yeah. This is the part they edited out in the Canadian version. And now here is what Macaulay Culkin looks like today with Donald Trump. So there's really...
For those of you listening...
That's Boris Johnson.
You showed Boris Johnson.
And I shouldn't get credit for that. That's a tweet from Juan Darnayok, Juan AD on Twitter. That's a very clever response to Macaulay Culkin.
Funny.
Tech is a huge part of this so-called...
I didn't realize it was 20% of the total value of the market now.
Yeah. Big tech.
That's what was new to me.
That's why it's a challenge to regulate them, because they are a driver, especially because of COVID. They are a driver of the economy right now. Audible's been a sponsor off and on for years. I think we were one of the very first podcasts that they advertised on. They don't have an ad on our network. They haven't had one in a couple of years, but I still want to give them a plug.
Ungrateful louts.
Ungrateful louts. We put them on the map. Amazon bought pretty much every advertiser we ever had, including this one. But they have come up with a new membership plan, which I thought was kind of interesting. They call it the Audible Plus catalog. It's a limited catalog of about 11,000 books, and a lot of them read by famous people. And I think this is an interesting...
it's really good. Last night,
like
I was ready for a new book.
Thing.
Okay, both of you talked to say. Go ahead, Jeff.
Sorry.
And then Stacey. Stacey,
So
go.
last night I was doing
ahead,
it,
Jeff.
and I saw that this was there, and you have unlimited books. Pick one, and the first one was the French Revolution, which I want to know more about. I hit it, and I started listening to it, and it didn't cost me a thing.
Isn't that
It's part of
amazing?
the membership.
You have to be a subscriber, but I think you can do it for $8 a month, I think. And
there's two levels now. This is the higher level.
Okay. Because I am a subscriber anyway, and so I got this as part of my membership, which is great.
Yeah.
So
that's what I saw. It's like this new notification, but I didn't have time to dig into it to see what it was all about.
Yeah. Audible Premium Plus. You can listen to all you want of the Plus catalog on top of the credits you get as your membership. This is part of their plan to add podcasts. By the way, podcasts will be a part of this as well as audiobooks and originals. It's my understanding, though, that these are ad-free podcasts, so I don't think would be in their catalog, unfortunately. But well, maybe we will.
Well, they're trying to make their own.
If things get any worse. But for now, I'll try to make it without them. They're doing a lot of Audible originals. Yeah. And, it's kind of unclear. Is that a podcast? What is that? Yeah. Yeah. But they also, I think they've started to open up their catalog to podcasters as well, which is interesting. Absolutely. Stacey, what were you going to say?
Oh, no, I was just going to say they have a similar Kindle something for reading.
Yeah, it's like Kindle Unlimited. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And frankly, I appreciate it because I get tired. My eyes get tired. I like to listen these days more than I like to.
I cannot handle listening to books. I tried it. I was trying so hard, but nope, it's not working.
You're
for me.
striving too much. You got to stop striving. Sit back, start enjoying.
Stop striving, Stacey.
What do you do? Like, are you listening while you do something else?
Washing the dishes, cooking, walking. I can't do it while I'm, reading newspaper articles or something. Yeah, I don't commute anymore. So, I used to get 2 or 3 hours a day listening, which was really great. And what's a pick? Give us a pick.
For me, there's 2 picks. Today, as of recording this, DJI released a new smartphone gimbal that's not much to talk about, except for the fact that they're making it a little bit easier to use.
I like
it already
the Osmo.
folds down and pretty portable.
Yeah.
But now you get this little magnetic clip that you can just magnetically connect your phone to it instead of having to battle with clamps and arms and hooks magnets and things like that.
Yeah, magnets are so cool. That's neat.
Yeah, and it's a pretty good price at $150. I have 2 smartphone gimbals here, so I doubt I'll buy it, but I thought it was worth mentioning for people that are trying to start creating stuff while they're at home.
I've had a couple of Osmos, and they do an amazing job. They're very smooth. Mm-hmm. They're really kind of incredible. I can't. The problem with gimbals is balancing, and so if you have a magnet, I guess it must, because you have to then balance. I wonder how well it must be auto balancing now.
It's got to do something, because I'm with you as far as balancing those things could be quite a task.
It used to be a big deal, yeah.
Yeah, if you're using, like I've used external mics on my phone, so I had to buy a counterweight to put on there, and that just made it even more challenging. Right. I eventually got it to work, but it's still a bit of a pain in the butt to get started.
Maybe I'll order this one. You like the Ji-Yun as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You can read all about it at antpruitt.com. It's a post on his most recent blog post, the DJI Osmo Mobile 4. And you're on a podcast, I hear.
Yes. That's my second pick. I've been on a couple podcasts here recently, and I said I'd like to share them out. This one was really fun. It was on He Shoots, He Draws with Dave Clayton and Alan Hess. Alan Hess is a big Twit fan, big Security Now fans, know all about you, Mr. Laporte. Knows all about you. But he loves you. And they allowed me to just chit-chat about Twit and the things that I do. And it went a little bit longer than most of their episodes, and I really appreciate that.
We're catching. I'm sorry.
So I felt honored to be on it, and felt honored to be able to just share my philosophy on how I do things and why I do the things the way I do it.
I think I feel like I've met Alan Hess.
Oh, he loves Leo Laporte.
Yeah, I think he's come to visit us because he's a great concert photographer. So I feel like maybe I just
concert photographer and Comic-Con.
Yeah. Nice stuff. Great fun. Good. We'll have to listen to that. Can't wait to hear you malign me. I have to listen to all these to make sure that people are being nice. He Shoots, He Draws podcast featuring Ant Pruitt. the 17th of August edition. Karsten's Mask of the Week is wild. It's the Air Solo Antimicrobial Irradiation Respirator. A little expensive at $120. Shipping begins this month. It's worn under your face mask and uses a patent-pending system to neutralize harmful contaminants trapped in your cloth mask. It's an interesting idea.
Did that say it has UVC?
UVC, LED emitters.
Wow.
Yes. John and I are getting our Kickstarter pretty soon. Right, John?
Yeah.
Our $100, right, John? $100 Kickstarter. And then he also recommends that you stay safe with this alien facehugger mask. Oh, my God. Do not. That's terrifying.
Man, that's got Karsten Bondy written all over it.
If you've ever played, what is that game that the facehugger comes and gets you? Oh, man. It's terrifying. Well, this is from Alien, but it reminds me of that other game, Half-Life, where the facehuggers.
Oh yeah,
Half-Life come after you. But this is the Alien facehugger. Wow. He's sold out currently, but he's going to be making more. He makes these by hand on his Etsy shop, but he has other nice leather stuff as well. So,
wow.
Yeah. Facehugger masks sold out. Because who wouldn't want a disgusting alien on your face as you walk around town? Who wouldn't want that?
Karsten will appreciate the McSweeney's article from earlier this month. The corporation from Alien shares its reopening plan. And it is quite hilarious. Karsten, you should read it here. I'll stick it.
I love McSweeney's. They're doing some great humor.
Yeah, I subscribe to the Quarterly Concern. It's really a print.
Right, but they now have an
extravaganza.
internet thing that they do also.
Yes. Their internet tendency is their humor.
Internet
they have
tendency,
free stuff.
That's it. Yeah.
They have their fake stuff, but here, I think, let's see, is it here? Oh, it's way up there. I'm attached to my computer. I can't get it, but it's up on that bookshelf.
Nice. McSweeney's.net. Ladies and gentlemen, have we completed every portion of our allotted task? I think we have. This is the time we say goodbye to all our family. Stacey Higginbotham is at staceyoниot.com. Sign up for that free newsletter because it's full of great IoT information. And of course, she does a great podcast with Kevin Toffel, the IoT Cast. That's also there at GigaStacey on the Twitter. Thank you, Stacey.
Thank you.
A little cacio e pepe for our friend Jeff Jarvis.
It's waiting for me. It's in the freezer.
He's got his dinner ready to go.
He's so excited. Look at his
7
face.
minutes.
The director of the Townlight
happy.
Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Thank you, Jeff. Buzzmachine.com is his blog. Habermas and Gutenberg are his personal heroes. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Ant Pruitt comes back every week to join us here, but he also is on Hands-On Photography and Hands-On Wellness, two of our Twitch shows. Good-looking fella. Always nice to see you, Ant. Congratulations on the newest Pruitt.
Yep.
We will see
Grandson.
you. Yeah, that's really
Mazel.
sweet. Is your son still in the service?
Yes, he is.
So he's serving our country and
Yes, he is.
being protected by Palantir. So that's a good.
And we're also looking for justice for Breonna Taylor.
Oh my God,
Amen.
yes. And the newest one in Kenosha.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there'll be no NBA playoff tonight because of boycotts from the.
And it's not
teams.
it's not a boycott. It's a strike.
A strike.
It's a strike.
Not boycotting.
And actually, I just tweeted this because while y'all were talking, I was actually watching this, but Kenny Smith, former player, walked off in the middle of his broadcast, which I thought was
Nice.
I love seeing this.
really bold.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I was like, go you, buddy. And then, of course, I'm like, I really want to go see all of this, but I'm on
Yeah.
the show, so I cannot. But
Jacob Blake. Got to remember those names.
Yes, say the names.
Yeah. Why particularly Breonna Taylor, Ant?
Well, she was shot in the middle of a raid in Louisville, Kentucky.
No knock
there
warrant. Yep.
going after her boyfriend. And these police officers are still out just living their lives.
Yep. And we saw the Kentucky Attorney General on the Republican National Convention yesterday, who mentioned Breonna Taylor without mentioning that he declined to prosecute her murderers. So that's interesting.
Yep.
And sorry to have to talk about that when you have such happy news. Congratulations.
Oh no, it's all good.
Yeah.
We're just fine.
Yeah.
We're just fine. Happy for the new grandbaby and the family that we'll see one of these days. Who knows?
Oh, that must be hard. That's right. That's right. Where are they?
Yeah.
It's all good.
Are they in Florida?
Oh no. They're on the other side of the country.
Where are they? You don't have to say.
I'm not going to say.
And it's very private, which I admire. I admire that.
You are not helping the guy.
I'm working on him. Well, I have to ask the hard questions. I'm a trained professional. Oh, no, wait a minute.
But I'm a good poker player, too, so I know.
I know.
Palantir, trying to get data out of it.
Anyway, I apologize if I brought up something that's considered secret, but I'm just so happy for you. I think it's great.
I appreciate it.
It's not an excuse. That's the mother-in-law excuse when they do something horrible.
Okay, I'm his mother-in-law, so there. And if you want, we'll edit all of this out.
Oh, we're good.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday about 1:30. Actually, now it's 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern.
My fault.
No, you're no fault. We never were on time anyway, so why not? 2100 UTC. Come by and say hi. If you want to watch the live stream, it's twit.tv/live. There's audio and video there. Chat room's always open, irc.twit.tv. After the fact, you can get our podcasts at the website, twit.tv. For this show, it's twit.tv/twig. You also can get it on YouTube. There's a bunch of YouTube channels, but the main channel is youtube.com/twit. And let's see what else. Oh, subscribe in your favorite podcast application. That way you get it the minute it's available late on Wednesday. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google.
Hi, I'm Jason Howell, host of All About Android, where each week I'm joined by my co-hosts Florence Ion and Ron Richards, and we talk about everything that has to do with Android. Is it news? Is it hardware? Is it apps? Well, you name it, we talk about it. We invite guests from the industry on the show. We even sometimes have people from the Android team themselves talking about what makes Android so great. And you can subscribe so you don't miss anything about the world of Android by going to twit.tv/AAA. We'll see you there.